Check the stream.
Okay, let's go.
Stream.
Oh, I drank that really quick.
Delicious meat.
Damn. So cremery.
Actually, just make sure we're like turned down, so if we do shout loudly, then we're not gonna fucking like blow the.
Well, it clips out.
Yeah, we're on.
Yeah, Mike, give us a test cunt.
Nice.
He's
That's good. That was clear. Clear as a bell. Yeah.
Okay. So where were we? We are currently in a start. We're in the catch up. In Is it alright? I can sort of hear it.
No, it was like I was getting two doubles.
Where you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Is it because you're going? Because you're outputting to OBS from your?
It's because it's picking it up in Zoom. I need to mute Zoom somehow.
Let's play the game. Let's play D&D. We haven't even started, and I finished a pot on me.
See now Aiden's not gonna be able to hear me.
Yeah, do it the other way around, so the person that's actually playing can hear us properly. Huh? And stream is what it is.
Well, the stream will just be double and fuck it.
No.
Yeah.
No, I think do you have like headphones?
it's
You
frozen.
put like one headphone in that's got a microphone. Oh no, but then he will hear you twice. Why can he hear you twice? Can't you just why can't he hear you from that
I'm
microphone?
going
reminiscing to Rupert about the guy who was flexing in the mirror.
You should be able to.
I don't know if you can hear me, but I can't hear nothing.
Because at work, there's someone.
Oh, there you are. You're back. You're back.
That looks out over like the parking area.
Yeah.
That's when it. That's when
God.
it's double.
Because I've been
I'll go next door.
doing like fucking metalsmithing, and then every night I've gone out at the same time, and he's just been there having a shower. So like he's in profile in like only a slightly frosted glass.
Basically, Aiden, because I'm going in here, I'm then talking on Zoom, which puts it into the stream. Right. That's why
I mean, if it's going to cause an issue, I really don't mind just playing through the chat. Like, if it's going to cause an issue.
There must be a way. I know, it's outputting into there. I can't because it can only mute people on Zoom. You can't mute it for only you. It just mutes them entirely. So it will mute it for Aiden. That's why we can't do it. Which is very annoying.
Honestly, dudes, I appreciate I have not been able to attend this particular session. So if it is going to cause an issue, I'm happy to be there for the next thing that we do.
No, there's no way. There's a way.
Do you have like some headphones for like javelins at one point, and you can't use bows at night time?
So then you wouldn't hear Aiden.
I did use some javelins when I was there, because they're just on the ground in the battlefield. And I was like, I can't use these. But I was like, fuck it. I just put them through. And they were coming. Because they were like,
We'd still encounter the same issue.
And they didn't go very far, because they're so light.
I thought the javelins would at least be like javelins.
I can't input my audio into that because it will repeat it through itself. So I'm going into Aiden here, but then that outputs it into the computer system through there, and I can't mute myself in there.
Yeah, I get it.
You know what I could do? I can mute. Yeah, I see. I can mute desktop audio entirely on that computer, so they're not getting the sound, and they won't get Aiden or me. And so that should actually, they won't get double now. Yeah, that should be it.
Test.
Yeah. They might not hear Aiden, but but we will.
Yeah, that's fine. You can repeat what I say.
Dude, I keep rolling 2.
Might take a bit to catch up, so Theo can check.
Yeah, that's good. We can hear Aiden.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
We're good. We're good. I just muted the desktop audio.
We're good.
We're good. Okay, in which
Hallelujah.
case, this is where we were. Dylan and Dutch find themselves in the sea of blood.
Do you want to just restart, because I deleted that audio from the so it's I deleted it from the YouTube studio,
we can start. So you walk in a world of wind and blood. The crimson sea stretches out all around you from your little black rock. Something urges you onwards. The figure behind you, with you. You sense them and their desire to find, to bind, to become one. Dutch, this is the first time you find yourself in this strange land. Black rock beneath your feet and a tumultuous sky above. You look out over the sea of blood, and there you see something. Another rock face, a distance off, a figure atop it. You shout out to your brother, and you swim to him across this sea of blood, which we've just done.
Bless you.
And as you both stand upon this rock, Dylan, you looking out across this sea, you see a cluster of more jagged black rocks jutting out from this sea of blood as the kind of sea crashes up against it. Red mist sort of spraying off. It's a distance away, maybe 300 feet. You can't see anything on it.
I don't know, but I feel like we've got to make our way to those rocks over there.
Alright.
It's quite a distance. Can I try and call Ook to me?
You begin to summon Ook, but he does not appear.
I don't think we'll be getting any help.
Well,
I'm sure you can manage it.
yeah, I'm pretty good at swimming. How far is it?
About 300 feet.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is, before we go, Dutch is going to start pacing forwards and backwards in front of the water. Fucking bullshit, fucking trying to have a sleep, and they're fucking making me do this fucking shit. Yeah, fucking just swim across the fucking ocean of blood. It's fuck! And Dutch is going to enter a rage and jump in the water and start swimming.
Okay, make me an athletics check with advantage then, because you are raging.
People don't know, this is how Michael Phelps prepares for the Olympics.
And
Plus 11, so an unnatural 20.
And
following his brother, he will, as he dives, you see the muscles harden and the limbs elongate as he takes on his hybrid form, and as he dives into the blood. Okay. 12.
12. You begin making your way, stroke by stroke. And Dutch, you find yourself looking back over your shoulder, and you have put quite a gap between yourself and your brother. Your rage at this point wears off, as it only lasts until you're struck.
Yeah.
Turning around, you see that Dylan is floundering in the water a ways off. You begin swimming, but something is like sucking you down. It's viscous and thick around you, and eventually you just are pulled under. Holding your breath. What's your constitution modifier?
16, I think, plus 3.
So you can hold your breath for 4 minutes. So
Okay.
quite a while. You watch Dutch as your brother sinks under the water.
Fuck! Enters a rage again and fucking slams it over to his brother.
Okay, make me another athletics
What am I wearing
check.
on me?
You're wearing your feathers and leathers. You're wearing all of your normal kit.
Am I wearing my pouches and shit and my boots?
You're
My
wearing...
belt and everything.
You don't have your pack. But,
Okay.
Or like things on you other than
Just clothes.
your clothes. Yeah.
Okay, fair. And yeah, swimming over there. So that first roll's an 8. Fuck. So an 8 plus 19.
You swim over and get to the sort of spot where your brother was. Are you diving down?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Diving down. Roll me just a straight d20.
19.
A 19. You fling wildly, your arms underneath until you hit something, You grab it, it feels slick and slimy, and you tug and pull, and bursting from the blood, both of you gasping for breath.
Good luck.
That was indeed.
I'll sort of I'll clasp a hand to my brother's muscular shoulder and sort of, I won't utter a word of thanks, but you can see the thanks in his eyes.
Go to speak and...
I was holding my breath, I'm not an idiot.
Let's start swimming then. You do the legs and hold on.
Right.
So this is the advantage roll.
I didn't realise quite how viscous this was going to be. So that's a 16.
16. You begin slowly making your way across. It's still about 150, you're about halfway between the rocks. You look back and you can't see the rock that you were on before.
The only way is forward. You can see Dylan's breathing quite heavily with this physical exertion. He's not quite as... perhaps if it was normal water, he'd be able to glide through it more elegantly, but as it's viscous, it takes a little bit more strength, and he doesn't quite possess what his brother does.
Make me another check.
Can I get him on my back? So he's holding on with his arms, kicking like a frog with his legs, and then I'll do the same and do my arms.
Okay.
That's an 8. A natural 1 and an 8.
15 plus 11, so 26.
You manage to, in your hybrid form, still struggle, but Dutch luckily is there. Your brother drags you along on his back as he sort of crawls through this viscous liquid, and eventually, spluttering, you pull yourself up and out onto what appears to be a larger rock, essentially a small island, maybe 50, 60 feet across, although you can't see the other side. As you pull yourself up, you see a figure lying at the top, very, very much asleep, sound asleep in fact, making sort of strange sort of little noises in his sleep. You see Richter.
Is that...
He's having a wet dream.
Sneak.
well,
You
stealth.
can roll me stealth checks, sure. I mean, he doesn't know you're there. He's asleep.
I rolled a natural 19.
Okay.
Yeah.
26.
8.
He doesn't know you're there. He's asleep.
Sneak.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw him into the blood.
I grab his arms.
Okay, you grab his legs
yeah.
and you're throwing him in. You feel yourself wake with a jolt as Dylan and Dutch, you fling through the air and sploosh, you hit. Your vision just goes red and you watch as Richter in full plate disappears into
I dive in! I dive in! I range and dive in! Why?
Stop. It's going so red. Roll me another athletics check with advantage because you're raging.
Okay, a 12 plus 11, so 23.
23. You dive into the water. How many rages can you do a day?
1. 12.
3. Okay.
That's it. That's
You
all
feel heavy plate and you pull Richter out of the blood. All of the blood sort of like oozing out from between the plates of his mail. He's completely soaked. All three of you are like drenched. Your hair is like matted and thick with blood. And it immediately, in the kind of heat of this place, begin drying on you. Richter, you find yourself on a rock, a black rock, in the familiar, strange realm of the Blood Sea with Dylan and Dutch.
Here. The blood ocean. Why did you throw me in?
Well, it was Dutch's idea.
No, it was Dylan's idea.
I'm pretty
he
sure
thought
it
it'd
was.
be funny,
No.
and you know, if I think it's going to be funny, I'm like, oh, that'll be funny, because you're like, oh, everything's a bit shit, so might as well try and laugh.
I mean, we are in a pretty ominous place. Having a laugh isn't too much of a bad idea. Look, you're fine, aren't you? What are you doing here?
Having a nap.
Well, I mean, yes, it's good for you. I literally cannot drown but a suit of metal.
Oh, that would be quite a way to go. Well, or not go. Pinned to the bottom of a lake of blood. Jesus, that's pretty dark. Well, luckily Dutch here managed to drag you out. For what it's worth, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I was resting. Glad you roused me.
Listen,
Where are the others?
I don't know. This place, it drew us to this island here where we found you.
Where did you come from?
Roughly 300 feet that direction.
I look out. Do I see anything out there?
Did you see anything?
Roll me a perception check. You got a die.
She's like an angry dragon.
Oh no.
Oh no, the blood lake eel dogs.
Well, sorry. What did you get, Richter?
Can I have some?
I've
got bread. Do you want bread?
Sorry. There's too much going on with the dog. Say it again.
good. All good. 5.
A 5.
Cinco.
No. You stare out and you don't see anything other than the rock you're in. It just to the horizon, sea of blood.
I've got it.
Are we dreaming? Or are we here?
I believe we must be dreaming, right? We can't truly be here. I don't know. Is it? I'll look. Have you explored this island much? Do you know potentially where we should go?
It's no bigger than a 50-foot wide rock. It's just like a larger rock.
And there were other bits to it though.
Around you, there's like a couple more sort of sticking out, but they're like only really big enough for a couple of people to sort of climb.
Start
The
taking
beings
some
are
big
here.
breaths.
The beings and the stones. Are they here?
They have not.
I'm gonna come to the little. Is there a topper bit? You said he was like up high where he was sleeping, right?
Yeah, there's a
I'm gonna
peak.
go to the top, take some really deep breaths. Oi! As loud as I can, just in case anyone else is asleep on a different rock.
Roll me an intimidation check.
Okay, so that's a 14 plus 6, so that's a 20. Can I use strength for it?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, it's your projection. It's sure.
Yeah.
Your diaphragm.
So a
Say it with your full
25.
chest.
Internal strength.
Yeah.
Your eyes open. You're floating, but you look down and there is a sort of small piece of black rock beneath you. Zook, you awake.
Oh,
You hear the voice of Dutch carrying across the winds.
what? Dutch? Hello? What? Oh, we're here. Where did it come from? Do I know which direction it came from?
You kind of get up and stare in the direction. Roll me a perception check.
Oi!
That's a 21.
You see very far off, maybe half a mile, a small black rock.
Am I floating?
You are.
I'll float over the ocean of blood.
You float.
While Dutch is shouting,
Yes.
can I fire some eldritch blasts into the air as like a signal flare?
Yeah, you certainly can.
Nice.
You let a few of them go. You see those arcing up.
I kind of stop as I think something's incoming, and then I recognise the lights as the Seeker's power, and I'm like, oh, okay, and I hurry forward. I'm dashing now.
As you hurry forward, Zook, you can see a ways to your left, whatever direction that may be, a series of rocks, almost like in a zigzag fashion, all attached, almost like a peninsula that zigzag to like what looks to be a larger sort of rock on the horizon.
Okay. Is there anything else? Is that the only structure?
That's the only thing that you see. Yeah.
Okay. I'll keep heading towards the rest of the gypsies.
It takes a while. It takes maybe 10, 15 minutes. But eventually you see, of sort of waiting on this rock, you see a small figure floating weirdly, kind of bobbing over the waves towards you. And you see Zook, the tree, the staff of high canopy over his shoulder, like a little umbrella.
These waves, this current is doing something to my mobility.
Oh, so bet if it's you're like
Zook, it's
Like 900 thing.
it's good to see you.
Hurry up and get on the fucking rocky, dickhead.
Yeah.
Float up. Where are we? How did we get here?
I presume we're dreaming. I don't know. We've been summoned here by the beings, those entities that we've made pacts with.
Have you seen any of them?
No, not of yet. Only those of you here. Where's Ruthus?
Ruthus? Ruthus! I call out.
And start shouting Rufus as well. Join in.
You will shout Ruthus for a time.
I peer.
Did you pass any other rock formations as you travelled over here?
Aye, there's some kind of large peninsula, and I'll point in the direction. Large, much larger than this. Could be a coast of some kind. We could try that. Yeah. Can I just scan the horizon around the rest of the lake?
Roll me a perception check.
That is a 30.
It's almost like your eyes, focus in, like you're flying across parts of this ocean.
Imagine anyone looking close actually sees its like elements of like an eagle's eye, just like suddenly twisting.
You don't see any figures. You don't see Ruthus, but what you do see is this snaking sort of strange peninsula path. Almost look, it's just raised about a foot off the ground, maybe sort of quarter of a mile away from the rock you're on, and it snakes its way towards this larger island. You don't see anything on it, save for a small wisp of smoke rising from it.
There's definitely something there. A camp, maybe. Could be Ruthus. He may have started a fire. I guess I could ferry us across, one by one. Or at least go have a look before I do so.
I mean, I'm happy to swim. I've already, our clothes are already bloody.
I mean, I'd rather not swim.
I mean, it's safer.
Everyone keeps almost drowning.
If I take off my armor, I cannot drown. Perhaps I should sally forth.
We could do that. It wouldn't take.
But if you are, the water has quite some viscosity to it. If you are to sink beneath the surface, then you may not be able to find which direction you are headed.
It can't take that long. 15 minutes work at most. I'm gonna turn into a greater giant eagle and start ferrying people across. I think I'll take Dutch across first. So if Dutch wants to climb on my back, and then
What? As
a giant, I'm a giant eagle.
Oh, you're a giant eagle now. Okay.
Yeah. So and then just go there, do a flyby, see what it is before I actually land and drop him off.
Okay. With Dutch on your back, you begin making your way through the sky. And from above, you can see that this strange sort of sea landscape folds away at the edges. You can see the sort of drastic arc of the horizon as you rise off, sort of away from the ground. And all above, as you get kind of closer, is just this like crazy storm above you that you don't want to get too close to. But you bank, you sort of have to dip, save for just sort of going away from whatever this place is, and sort of turning round almost from the edge. You see a larger selection of rocks with a singular house built on top, a tavern.
Okay.
Smoke rising from its chimney.
Does the peninsula just leads to the house, and there's nothing else around it? I'll fly down and drop Dutch off, but I'm just going to wait there next to him and then kind of like beckon to the door.
Okay. Dutch starts sneaking up to the door, presses his shoulder up against it, has a listen through it. What does he hear?
You would hear.
Shit, did I just turn the music?
Roll me a perception check.
A 0.
Nothing.
Dutch's ears are so cauliflowered, he is deaf. Right. Just takes a step back. Boots in the door. Storms in. What is it?
You boot the door and storm in, and you can see within a few figures sitting round a fireplace. You see a tall, sort of genteel older man in sort of long flowing robes, all long-haired and bearded. You see a very elderly, sort of broken-looking man hunched over in a chair, poking the embers of a fire. You see a sprightly older man behind the bar, sort of cleaning glasses. And you see a military, sort of chiseled-looking individual sitting at one of the tables sort of nearby, gouging something into the sort of table itself with a dagger is a woman in the very corner.
Can I peer my head in?
Are you at the Eagle?
Yeah.
Oh, you stayed. Yes.
I'm
yes.
just going to poke my head in.
Poke your head into.
Do I see anyone else?
No.
Okay.
They all turn and look towards the doorway as you enter.
I'll come back out and I'll fly off to go and collect the other two. If I can get them both in one, like carrying one on my back and then maybe carrying Richter, like his arms under my claws.
Yeah, I'll say you can. While you're doing that, the rook comes over towards the door and takes you by the shoulder and pulls you in, looking about and slamming the door shut.
You do that fucking touchy-feely.
He looks around. Did anyone see you?
No.
Did you see anything out there?
Blood sea. Couple of rocks.
He's telling the truth, says Gerismus. The pawn sort of steps forwards. Come, warm yourself by the fire.
Oh, thank you, yeah.
You're like caked in dried blood from head to toe.
Can I have like a wet towel? And not wet with blood.
Something hits your face and the kind of sort of damp, beery cloth wipes some of the beer off your face. You see the Jack sort of pick up another rag. And
Thanks
sort
very
of
much. I'm going to clean my face with it.
A glass of ale sort of appears in his hand and he slides it across the bar towards you.
How much?
Oh, nothing.
Oh, I can go see the written tip then. I'll put a coin on the table and go sit down.
The coin melts into the bar and disappears. And the Jack sort of looks at it and continues wiping glasses. The door, well, not the door.
What,
you
what
land.
else can I put on the table that melts?
I don't know. You land. You gather them. You're outside the door. How are you approaching?
Okay.
The door is shut.
Where's Dutch, Zook?
I say in a worried squawk. I'll land by the door and I'll sort of drop Richter like from like 10 feet up, so he just kind of can like barrel roll, and then. And then land so Dylan can likely drop off.
Yeah, I'll sort of go into like a little like ninja stealth roll and pop up next to Richter.
How are you approaching the door?
Dutch, are you alive?
I'll sort of like go up, like sort of softly pad up to the door and put my ear to it. I guess I hear Dutch say yeah.
You hear a squawking from outside.
Oh, the bird's back.
Dutch, are you okay?
Yeah, why wouldn't I be okay?
Who's in there?
You know, the pawn, the rook,
Are you
Jack.
are you shouting this through the door, or are you opening it?
What, I'm having a drink, aren't I, at the bar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're shouting through the door. The rook angrily opens the door and looks towards an eagle and Dylan and Richter, and he beckons you inside quickly.
Shrinking back down to Zook, flown on it.
He turns and looks out across the ocean and closes the door behind you.
What are you looking for?
You seem concerned.
some embers fly out of the fireplace, and you hear an elderly voice. It is out there.
What is out there? What do you mean? Why have you brought us here?
We haven't. It has.
It? What do you mean?
Go and wake your friend. He's upstairs.
Rufus. Rufus is here?
He is upstairs.
I won't even wait for him to answer. I'll start running up the stairs.
You run upstairs and open one of the doors, and inside you see Rufus sound asleep in bed, in his sort of sleeping attire.
Does he have one of those?
Yeah, he has one of those like Scrooge style sleeping caps.
I don't get a sense.
One of those like
Button
long
downs. Yeah.
This is my game, motherfucker.
There's like onesies that are all like tea stained.
Yeah.
Rufus, Rufus, wake up, man! We need you.
You awake. You awake.
Oh.
You don't need to.
Rufus wakes, his eyes going wide, and he turns over in the bed, looking towards the door at Dylan. Dylan, what? These aren't mine. Somebody has dressed me and put me to bed.
Touche.
I could have swore I wore you, seen you wearing those before.
I think Nathea has a very similar set, but what are we doing
like
here?
the hat. It's very befitting of you.
Rufus gets out of the bed and strides over. Is there a window?
Yes, there is. There's like wooden shutters.
Are they open? Or can I open them?
They're closed. Yeah. You pull
Before
them open.
as he goes down, I'm like, wait, I think we should keep those shut.
Why are we in a tavern? We're on the eve of war in a camp.
Nowhere. I think we're dreaming. The stones.
What?
They're patrons. You understand? They're downstairs waiting for us.
We're in that tavern.
That particular tavern, yes.
Oh. Okay. Let us go and meet with them.
And we head downstairs.
You head back downstairs, and you can see that they've gathered around a large sort of central table. They're all sitting there, sort of waiting for you to come down. All with the same identical face, but slightly different.
As we get to the bottom of the stairs and Rufus sees the spirits within the stones, he sort of gives a half bow and says, "My lords, it's a pleasure to see you again. Why bring us here?"
As we said before, we did not. I fear it has.
It? What is it? The thing we saw before when we were here?
The rook steps forward. It goes by many names. But the one you know is Carmoon.
You're saying that Carmoon dwells in this sphere, this place?
I believe so. It is unclear to us exactly.
Wait, when I first touched the orb that Varian had, I spoke to Carmoon.
And do you remember what he said? What it said?
No, but it had like 5 eyes. Creepy.
If it has brought us here, then has it brought the other ones that control the other stones?
I fear our brothers are here somewhere. They must be. Or at least part of them. The Queen steps forwards. No. Our brothers are not here. Carmoon would not be that foolish to bring us so close. He will keep them.
But what does it want? Why has it brought us here?
That is for you to discover.
Is this your realm or Carmoon's?
Can I try and do a memory knowledge check to check my memory of what Carmoon said?
You certainly can. Roll me an intelligence check with disadvantage.
Can I do it while headbutting a table?
No.
Will that help?
No. Richter, what did you ask?
I asked them, is this your realm or Carmoon's?
The Jack sort of takes a swig of an ale of some kind from his mug, which immediately begins to sort of fill back up. No, this is definitely not our realm, although the tavern is mine-ish. And you look around, it is like a grotty, bare wooden tavern. And you can see it's like it's been riddled with termites or something. They've just like eaten it from the inside out. It looks pretty gross. Well, it's sort of my tavern. Shared.
Mr. Jack, are you trapped here? You and your fellows?
Sort of, I think.
Was there anything that you know of that could get you out?
The king sort of steps forwards. We exist with you, and you are here. We are not trapped, but you might be.
There's so many people back on the material plane that need our help. So many people that we can't just leave them now. We need to find a way out.
Yes, this is nonsense, says the Rook. They must be told.
Told what?
The king sighs. We are not in agreement, it would seem. The queen stabs a dagger down through the table. You must bind us together.
No.
Prim, no.
Come here.
No.
Come here. Come here. Come here.
What do you mean bind you together? With rope?
She sighs and looks towards the others. The queen looks towards you. You must gather us all and put us back together.
How are the others reacting to that?
The Rook is sort of like begrudgingly with a furrowed brow sort of nodding. Gerasmus looks completely plain. But the king is sort of looks worried, and the Jack is just sort of looking around sort of.
From what I understand, the entity that covets these stones in the material plane wishes to do a similar thing. And not for any good purpose. He wishes to bring back an avatar of Carmoon. But by us doing this, would we not achieve something similar? Something that could be misused?
My brothers and sister wish for you to return us together once more.
And what will happen then?
Then we will be whole.
And what does that mean for us? For the material plane? For the people we love?
It means that we will vanquish Carmoon here, in this plane. We are not strong. We are broken. We are not what we were. We are only 5. If we are together, well, we can vanquish Carmoon here.
We can only each bind ourselves to one stone, to one being. How can we claim them?
You need merely have us touch together, be together.
And we can do that with the 5 of you?
It is not so simple, my brother, as he looks towards the rook. Us 5 are not enough. You must find us all and put us together. But even then, the ace will not agree.
We have companions, people we trust, who can aid us with this.
Maybe think we can trust him. That's been 20 years.
We can only hope we can trust them. But that's our only choice.
Well, he said we could have 2. Didn't you?
Do they mean we must only bring the stones together and physically touch them? They need not bind themselves to...
Perhaps. But we should have a plan B.
Well, we can't do any of this until after the battle. I mean, we need to find the other 5. We have to find the Lich King. We can't do any of that from here.
Do you have any idea how we leave this place?
Wake up, says the rook.
And our body here, can it be... If we are harmed here, will that harm us in the material plane?
Dutch slaps himself in the face.
You feel a small nick on your arm, and the queen sort of puts her dagger back away, and you can see where she's cut you across the arm begin to slowly bleed.
I bleed here, but...
Does Dutch start bleeding?
Yes, you get the same little cut on your arm.
Fucking bitch.
And you know who else does? Gerasmus.
Oh, fuck. Fuck you.
So to gather the stones is... We can either stop Carmoon from ever returning or bring him forth. The power goes either way.
It's a risk we have to take. Otherwise, it's just going to keep coming back. It's always trying to return. That's why we faced it all those years ago.
So once we get back to the plateau, we need to find each individual and kill them.
We have your aid. We have your help. We have the artifacts that you dwell within. If there's anything you can do to help us, to imbue them, replenish them, whatever it is, to get us through the enemy lines, then maybe we can get all the way to the other stones.
The Jack leans forwards and sort of leans towards your ear and plucks a coin from behind it, flicks it onto the table. Cling, ting, 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 ting. It spins and lands on its side. There are 2 heads and tails. The rook leans forwards and places a knight piece from the chess game, a singular sort of horse, down into the middle. The knight.
What are these tokens?
The queen pulls a bishop from her pocket and places it lying on the ground. The bishop.
These are the other spirits in the stones we hold.
The king, from his pocket, pulls a card and places it down, and you see 2 split, the joker and the ace. He pushes them forwards.
I turn to Richter. Richter, do you recognize these from that game?
Did you say was it the chess pieces?
There's a bishop, a knight from the chess pieces. There's a coin, And there is two cards, the Ace and the Joker.
Cards I'm less familiar with, but these pieces, these game pieces. This is the game that Nox was playing. Silas, I believe she is familiar with it as well.
I would say both of you know the cards are quite common in the realm, especially in sort of Xanthar.
So as Ruther says, are these the remaining pieces that we do not possess?
They all nod.
And you've never spoken to them, not since you were broken. These other players.
You are the first to bring us together. Since that day.
So, what happens if we take one of these things? Nothing.
They are merely tokens. Representations.
These are the ones we must find once we get back.
The ones you put forward. Some of you are not well aligned with the others. The ones you had in these tokens you had in your possession, are these potentially others you could align yourselves with? Or must we find others to hold them whilst we bring them together?
We do have our similarities and preferences, says the Rook. I do not enjoy those, and he pushes the coin away. But the others, perhaps. I've always had a soft spot for Quizlam. He taps the Joker. The Queen sort of slides the coin near her and flicks it about in her hand until you see the Jack sort of snatch it off. A funny pair, the both of them.
So they are one stone, the Ace and the Joker?
No.
We must leave this place. We must find these with all haste.
Aye. We mustn't dally. Look what happened last time. 2 decades went past.
I think this war, this fight, it is not necessarily the one that we must involve ourselves in. It is a worthy distraction. But we should use this time to try and locate these stones and the individuals that potentially possess them. Or wherever that location is. It might be that they are located within the tower.
Well spoken, Dylan. This is our task, and we must keep this as our priority at all costs.
So when the War Council meets, then our goal is convince them that we are the spearhead and they are the force that gets us there.
I mean, Fleet has kept us in the dark thus far about his plans. It might be wise to use this as a distraction. Whilst the forces clash, we can take this time to slip by unnoticed. The eye will be drawn elsewhere.
But even without Fleet's knowledge?
Surely the ones holding the artifacts or the stones are going to be on the battlefield.
Well, if that is the case, then we zero in on them.
Yeah, you on Ook, us on Zook, and then on the war horse, and then we find where these people are, drop down, get the stones, leave, find another one.
It's unlikely that this one who holds our brothers and sisters will give them to others to throw themselves away.
That's my thought too. I mean, they're more likely to be held within stone walls. I don't think he'll be using them on the battlefield. He won't risk that. He's spent too much time.
No.
They must be in the spires.
Again, I refer to previous advice that we must use this as a distraction.
Indeed. It could take a long time to explain our situation to the others in the fleet. More than we have right now.
And we don't know what eyes and ears might be among the camps.
And we don't know how they'll react.
A rumble shakes through the tavern itself, and all of the spirits, the shards of this god, they all turn. The rook immediately gets up and opens the sort of shutters a tiny bit, closes it and turns around. It is here. You must wake up. They all sort of immediately get up and move over sort of towards each of you respectively, sort of standing almost guard in front of you.
I mean, if there's anything that's got me to wake up, it's a little bit of booze inside me. You got anything that might help?
Another shake through the tavern.
How do we wake up?
Can Dutch slap himself in the face without waking him up?
You've already slapped yourself in the face and it didn't work before. You can try again.
Oh fuck, no.
I'll turn to the... Is it the pawn? No, who... Is he there? No.
Gerasmus is there, yeah.
Not
pawn.
Gerasmus, sorry. Whoever...
The pawn,
Zook
the king...
has, Zook holds.
Jack. The Jack.
I'll turn to the Jack and just sort of like gesture like for a drink.
He just hands you one and it appears.
I just like start downing
you
it.
begin downing drink. I don't know if that will help.
Can I? Is there a bucket of water anywhere behind the bar?
You run over and look behind the bar. There's nothing there. There's not even any glasses. There's like nothing in this place at all other than like wood.
Can I? We can summon the things to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Am I able to do that?
The shield appears on your arm.
We came here before by touching them together. Perhaps doing the same will take us away.
I headbutt the shield with
you
my
see
circlet.
the roof above you begin to splinter as some spikes sort of begin to make their way through the wood above you.
I summon the quiver and a shaft, an arrow shaft appears in my hand as well, and I place it against the shield.
Okay.
Together now, everyone.
Fists.
Same with the halberd.
Headbutting.
Circlet, headbutt. You push them together and you watch as the roof above you is ripped off, and you look up at the last moment into the five-eyed face of this enormous, multi-armed Goliath creature. Its skin is pitch black. You can't see muscles or ripples. It looks like an outline. Where like things overlap, you can just faintly see energy around the edge that makes out the different sections. 5 eyes on a face with horns that twist round. It oozes with this energy. You all stare up towards it, and its mouth opens wide, and you hear a noise. Found you. And you disappear. Richter, your eyes just sort of flash and you are cold, and you are standing in the war camp right outside on this plateau, ice all around you. The camp is there. You arrived earlier that day through a tree, and you see ahead the section of the war camp with the banner of Dawn's Blade ahead of you.
Oh, but the first thing I do is look around me. Are my companions nearby?
They are
Are
not.
we together?
They are not. You remember that you split off maybe 30 minutes ago, having been told specifically to stay in this one tent that Fleet had put you in and not to leave. But you all immediately cut a hole in the back and snuck out to go see your respective families. You headed to Dawn's Blade, and you've just arrived. Or at least their camp that exists here.
Richter shakes the sleep from his eyes with some trepidation. That terrible five-eyed being still fresh in his mind. strides towards the Dawn's Blade camp.
I'm just going to put on some different music. You head into the camp of Dawn's Blade. You are immediately sort of stopped at the sort of entrance way to this section of the camp by two people you don't recognise. A couple of sort of younger, fresher-faced orcs or half orcs. One with like a bit of stubble that's coming through, but you imagine they're probably no older than maybe 12, but they're big.
Yeah.
They
in Orcish, I would like to hail them. Well met, brother paladins of Dawn's Blade. I am Richter, brother of Siegfried, wielder of Rook's Halberd. I have come to parley with Siegfried.
No persuasion needed. They both kind of sort of move aside, and you enter the camp. You can see there is a large tent sort of erected in the centre of this semicircular camped area that Dawn's Blade have set up. But the tent itself is like on it, rather than it having a like sort of domed roof to it or a peaked roof, it looks like a series of sort of canvas walls that are set up, and sort of almost creating like a small canvas fort like scenario. You stride forth, and you can see standing guard outside, sitting on a barrel. You can see Caradim sort of picking at, I don't know, some kind of little tool in his hand. And as you sort of stride over to him, you feel a hand on your shoulder, and you look to your right, and you see a much older looking Kark. His bow slung sort of over his shoulder.
I put my hand on his hand. It is good to see you, Kark. You've grown well.
Well, it's good to see you as well. They said you'd somehow return at this time, but I don't know if your sister really believed it. But she said you were back. She heard you in her head.
She was the first person I spoke to when we arrived home.
She's just inside. You can see Caradim sort of drops off. Hey! He comes waddling over and sort of gives you a bit of a hug at the waist.
Big hug back. Big hug. Big hug. Ruffle head.
Yeah, it's good to have you. Good to have you here.
Keeping busy?
Oh, certainly. Just mind any flames near these barrels, yeah?
You can see that there's like black powder sort of leaking out of some of them onto the ice.
Understood. Be careful around that.
Yeah.
Don't tarry too long. I must see my sister.
Yeah, oh, of course.
He sort of pulls back some of the canvas, and you sort of stoop inside. And within this sort of semicircular tent-like structure, you see sort of sitting on a those kind of same sort of stretcher-like beds that are used in Dawn's Blade, that have clearly been sort of fashioned and maybe kind of carried around. They're almost like hospital kind of style wooden, right, like sort of slatted beds. Sort of sitting on one of those with another lying sort of on the bed. You see Siegfried. She gets up, seeing you enter.
I immediately salute in the form of in the way that a subordinate might. Like, I sort of salute in a way that sort of acknowledges a hierarchy here.
She nods towards you in a way that the sort of military leader would, the Gore Marshal would. She kind of gives that kind of salute, and then strides over and embraces you very, very tightly.
Oh, sweet sister. I am so sorry. I I'm so sorry not to have been able to message you.
You took your fucking time.
I am sorry that I was not there for Rook's passing. Was it easy on him?
No, not really. Bit fucking painful, actually.
Well,
for everyone, but he endured it, and it was fine in the end.
wait, where is Fourty?
And she gestures. He's the one lying in the bed.
Wait, in her bed?
It's not her bed. She was like sitting on the side of the bed, talking to the person that is in the bed, who is Fourty in the bed.
Oh.
It's not like this isn't like her private room. This is like just the. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I
Yeah.
thought I walked in on a very tender moment.
No.
It's good to see you, Fourty. Sorry, it's been a while.
Yes, it's good to see you again. Excuse me. You can see he's now Fourty into his 40s. He was early 20s when you left, and you can see he is like broader, more stacked. He's covered in scars and sort of burns on his face. He's missing like a whole chunk of his hair on the side, where it looks like sort of burn marks of acid or something have scarred him. I'll be better soon.
Thou hast grown into Dalward warrior, Fourty. Truly. I always knew you would.
Well, it's a bit bad timing that you came back and see me like this. He sort of pulls back the sheets, and you can see where his stomach is. Just a mass of sort of bloody bandages.
Alex, seeing you well?
They don't know what they're doing here. It's druid magic. I don't want any of that.
Can I give him like a quick medical check over?
You
Like,
can.
Just to, can I sniff the air, see if there's infection, that kind of thing?
Roll me a medicine check.
Yeah. That is 18.
Sort of having a look, he begins wincing. You can see as you lift it up, whatever has gone in likely has been removed, but there's an infection that has definitely spread. Although it's been cleaned and he has clearly been healed, there's an infection sort of that's bursted or bubbled up beneath the sort of maybe freshly healed, magically healed skin that wasn't treated. Perhaps something on the blade, you imagine. It looks like some kind of poison is in his system. There's something there.
I sort of turn toward Siegfried with a pointed stare, trying to communicate with my eyes. Is he gonna die?
He won't die. He's tough, this one.
Absolutely.
Looking at sort of Siegfried now, you can see she is much the same. She hasn't really aged a huge amount. She always looked old for her age anyway, and she's more just sort of grown into it. She still stands with the same sort of regard. Maybe a couple of greys. That's the only thing. You wouldn't dare say.
No. Well, Gore Marshal, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you as well. He took a nasty blow. Nasty blow from this strange blade. One of the demons.
Well, look at you, Fourty. I remember one of the last times I saw you, you survived an encounter with demons. Look at you now.
He puts his hand up and sort of clutches yours as he looks at you. The very same one.
Really?
Struck me.
He couldn't kill you then, and he didn't kill you now.
Well, let's hope. He sort of coughs a bit. The blade that it uses, its trident, went straight through me. It just won't heal. We've tried our magic. We've tried all sorts.
Did you say that you would refuse the druid magic?
They're not going to do anything better than what we can do here. We can cure diseases with our hands. We can heal with our hands. We can do the same what they can. This is deeper.
I understand your reticence, but this is a coalition, Fourty. We lend each other our strength for the betterment of all. But I will not impose on you. I've been gone some time, and it is not my place.
Your sister sort of puts a hand on your shoulder. You say this is a coalition, but things here are tense. We don't all get along. Weirdly enough, the church is probably one of our closest allies. But others in the Varamark, it's just not the same.
But what could be dividing them?
She sort of shrugs.
Thou art here with a shared purpose, are we all not?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, we're here for one reason. And that's mainly down to young man Elgrin.
Really? A bright boy, that one. Well, man, should I say.
And really, then it's down to, well, you, Richter, and your group. We're here because of you. I know the church is as well. And sure, we're here for the Varamark, and to put an end to Bren and all this madness. You missed the wars, Richter. Oh, the wars. The retaking of Fellstown.
Is there like a touch of like relish in her
Oh,
voice when
yeah.
she says the wars?
Like, a lot of relish. You should have seen it, Richter. Retaking Fellstown. We put those bastards to the sword.
I'm sure you were resplendent in arms.
Couldn't have done it without the help of the church, quite frankly. Our numbers were still fairly thin. We've bounced back. It's nearly time. Until the council meets.
Of course.
I follow your lead, Richter.
Fine.
I am Gore Marshal of Dawn's Blade, but you are one of the legendary folk now. She sort of shakes your shoulder. Listen, Richter. This is your time. This is your chance. You are a natural leader, even if you don't see it. Sure, you know, you're a bit of a runt growing up. You always struggled in lots of ways. Most ways.
Yes, yes.
You know, to be honest, a lot of things you've really struggled with.
Oh, all right, yeah, sure, yeah.
But you're not struggling now.
Well,
Something changed.
Dawn's blade behind me. I can only go forward with the utmost confidence.
All right.
We shall see the sun shine once again.
All right.
As the dawn rises.
As the dawn rises. Look, you're a decent paladin. An average one at that. And we all know it. But there's something else. You've got something else to you. And I think that's the thing. The thing that's inside you.
Consider it Dawn's blades from now on. I will assist you, and you will assist me. And together, we will stop this terrible threat.
Save the words for the council, yeah? Alright, come on, let's go. She begins walking out.
Alright. Fourty, do you need anything?
No, I'll be fine. I'll be fine tomorrow. I should be. You can see he just does not look fine at all.
Can I, can I, I just want to reach over to, I want to go over to Fourty and just briefly, as Siegfried's leaving, just briefly perch on the side of his bed and sort of reach out, place a sort of tender hand on Fourty's arm and say, believed in me, Fourty, and I believe in you. Thou shalt arise again with the coming of the dawn. And I want to cast life transference.
Ooh. Okay. So roll me 4d8, is it?
Yes, I believe so. Right, so got a 7. Got a 7. We've got a 2, 16, and a 7. 23.
So you take 23 points of necrotic damage, and Fourty heals double that. 46 points of healing. You know what? It's
fucking paladin.
It's a huge amount of healing, and it's transferring your own life's blood. I will. You place your hand down onto the wound, and you feel the halberd beat and the blood beat, and you watch as the energy is pulled out, almost like beads of blood drawing from your arm and pushing into him. He gasps, and you watch as something thick and black slides out into your palm. It drops to the ground and begins wriggling off.
I want to stab it into place with the halberd.
You stab it with the halberd, and it begins to sort of wriggle and hiss before it bursts into flames and disappears.
There we are.
He sits up. Thank you, Richter. Damn it! This was supposed to be the other way round. You're supposed to get back, and I'd have killed that fucking demon that killed you. And then I would have showed you what for.
There's time, Fourty. You'll prove me the fool yet.
I sure hope so. Can't keep going this way. And he sort of rubs it, but it's all healed. It's totally gone. Right, to the council then. I'm just going to quickly put some better clothes on. I'll meet you there.
I'll leave you to it, and I depart the tent.
Cutting over to Zook and Ruthus. You have just entered the Seers camp on the edge of the Glinting Kingdoms camp. And there, before you, you see 3 figures that you recognize. You see you see Jasper Bravethorn of House Bravethorn, the sort of like thorned crown with these 2 sort of blue eyes on this sort of golden sun field. He sits across on the other side of the fire, and as you enter, he immediately stands, and you see him like puff his chest out and do like some really over-the-top salute and then bow. Blue Eyes Reuben sort of turns and stares towards you and lifts his eyes, like just a really casual sort of hey. And so does Yenlith. Yenlith kind of turns. The dog, well, her big giant wolf, sort of looks up towards you as well, and sort of sniffs. But Jasper, and you can see in the fire like tears streaming down his face. It is an honor to see you. And he moves over and he like takes a knee in front of both of you. You must forgive me.
Don't defecate, Jasper.
It was prophesied you would return, and I knew you would.
It is okay, Jasper. Rise.
He rises sort of before you.
Arethusa puts an arm on his shoulder. I see that redemption has treated you well, and you've come out the other side a greater man than you've ever been.
It's like, you know, like in anime where someone is like super happy. I'm thinking about Armstrong in Full Metal Alchemist. Did you see that? You know, he's like, oh, the Elgin brothers, you do me a great honor. He's like so proud inside right now.
It is good to see you both. It is good to see you both.
I did not expect to find you here.
Ah, Zook! And he puts a hand out.
Whoa.
And it's strong.
Oh, that's squeezing hard. You certainly changed your ways.
Well, it has been some time. Me and my comrades here have, well, we have been doing the sun's work itself. Indeed, indeed.
But you and Reuben here were not part of the same party before? No?
We were shortly after when we saw the Grey brothers. After we heard that you had, well, caused a bit of a stir in Soulreach. The brothers visited us, and we were a band called the Seers at the time. We were trying to make our way, pillaging caravans and being highwaymen, but the good kind. Only those damn dwarves.
Oh, that's right. They told us you were harrying the Silvermark Brotherhood.
That is correct.
And why stop? When did you stop?
Well, I think we stopped shortly after we had a visit from one of your pals. Blue Eyes Reuben says. A young boy, name of Elgin Fleet, came in with his brother. Elgin Key and his brother Fleet came and, well, they'd heard of us through their grandmother or you or someone from your town. And by the way, my town that I did have no longer exists. So that great pyramid is also gone.
Oh? What became of it?
I'm not sure. And I didn't care to find out.
What happened to the town?
Well, I guess everyone left after everything stopped growing.
Ooh, this is troubling. I might have to have a look at it if we ever return.
Well, we travelled through Tree to get back to Mary. And then, well, the rest is history. We were taken in by your niece, Celeste. She's a nice lady.
Aye, she
Not
is.
sure about that Christoph fella, though. I'm sorry. I apologise on his behalf.
No, it's quite all right. I agree.
Christoph is a fine man indeed, and good father.
He is, but he is no leader like Celeste is.
Well, I would not possibly say of my liege lord in that sort of way. But I will say, although my allegiance lies with Celeste and Christoph, they are a Suncrest, and as are you. So my allegiance aligns with you, Rufus. I am yours to command. Please.
We will need all your strength in the battle to come, Jasper.
You shall have it. You shall have all my strength and my comrades. Isn't that right? He sort of turns, and you can see it's not just them three. There's like, a whole bunch of sort of people there that are under, I guess, House Bravethorn.
Are there any of the other shifters there apart from Yenna?
No, they're not that you see. No.
Yeah, I think who's.
A lot of them you killed.
Yes, yes.
or died in the Battle of Cinderhelm.
Yeah. What part will you play in the battle?
Well, we are a smaller force, an attachment to the greater force of the Glinting Kingdom itself and the Suncrest force. We will likely be taking orders from Yashar and her subordinate Wolf. I am not quite a fan of him. I do apologise if I have offended at all. We will be usually seen as a lance to break through enemy lines. We are quite the force, a good 100 strong, but the Suncrest force are a good double that.
Tell us, we've been here not more than a few hours, but I've already heard there are divisions amongst the forces here.
Yes, there is an air of mistrust to a lot of the factions.
For what?
Well, some have fought together for a long time, but others are seen as outsiders,
We are not from the Varamark, but yet we are here, fighting on their behalf, and yet they do not trust us. They see us as, well, imperial. We are no longer part of the Empire, but they see us this way.
The fact that you are here, or anyone is here, should be proof enough in its own right that you fight for a just cause.
And a just one it is. I could not have said it better myself.
And what of the enemy? What do you know of them? We heard something about beasts of the skies.
Giant Shankar.
I likely know as much as you do. I have fought with the Shivra, man to man, and they are a fearsome foe indeed, but I relish the opportunity to face the Rain Drifters once more.
Is that some term you use for them?
No, they are the faction of school that exist here. The Rain Drifters are brothers. I have fought them once in a skirmish, but they fled. We had them on the run, I say, but we were unfortunately routed.
Do you know of any weaknesses that the school have, or Shivra, or anything that, any patterns of their activities?
The Shivra, they are just a tide. They have no sense to them. But with no sense comes at least some form of not reliability. I'm not sure of the term I mean, but with the school, they are quite easily baited into a fight. They thirst for it. They wish it. But if they see things not going their way, they are quick to retreat and let the Shivra deal with this.
We want to overcome this, but I fear that our eyes are set further afield than the battlefield beyond. We hope to gain entry to the Spire at some point. I mean, I suppose that's why we're all here, to defeat them and destroy the forces that dwell within it. Do you know of any way in?
I apologize. And he kneels down. I do not know. I have not seen it up close. We have seen it in some skirmishes across the plateau. A broken place. A place of strange, dark, black, jutting rocks out of the ground, like great frozen icicles. Something horrific took place there, but within it, there is indeed a city fractured and broken. I have glimpsed the spire. Pieces revolving in some tumultuous purple storm. That is all I saw.
Well, thank you, Jasper. All insights are good insights, and
I assume the rest of the Gypsies of Fortune are here.
They are indeed.
aye,
Speaking of which, we do not have long, Zook.
no,
We must meet with Fleet in, but an hour.
You hear a horn. Ah! A horn.
what does it mean?
We must gather. 'Tis the council. It is early. There must be reason. Perhaps Rethguard has returned.
We were on our way to see her.
We didn't know she wasn't in the camp. I suppose she'll be at the council if she is returning.
Indeed.
We must get back to the tent.
Aye.
I will accompany. I shall be attending the council too.
So be it. Walk with us.
You begin heading towards the large tent in the centre of the camp. Dylan, you hear the horn blaze. You are in the camp of the Church of the High Hunt.
That is the horn to summon us. Come, Dylan. Walk with me to the camp.
Then we shall walk.
I would have us show our strength, but we have been told we are not allowed more than 2. Otherwise it will get too crowded.
So be it. Who will be accompanying us?
He turns and looks towards sort of Moran's and Blackwood. Moran's, you will come. She nods.
I can fill you in on what happened to us on the Fae on the walk over.
You begin heading there. You hear a faint Dutch, and it sort of echoes within, and you see part of the strange wooden structure you are currently in. Some of the wood woads peel out and sort of apart, and you hear the horn. Thiazi inside.
Well, I think it's probably time.
Yeah, you gonna go?
I don't know. Should I go?
Probably. Represent the... What's it called? What's the big tree called?
High canopy.
High canopy.
Yeah.
And the druids.
You have persuaded me. Come, finish your sap. He takes it, sort of squints out.
I mean, it's empty, but I'll take a refill of sap. Thank you.
You watch as one of the wood woes shits into your cup.
How big is this woodward?
It's a little dude.
I'll take it with me. Shit's booze.
you sort of grab him.
How do they speak again? And I squeeze it into the cup.
You just squeeze wood. It doesn't seem to work.
Put it back in the wall.
He melds in. A couple of them pop off, and you see them with their strange sort of like wooden masked sort of creatures with their little wooden spears that are part of them that grow out. A couple of them accompany you, sort of flanking you both as you and Thiazi make your way there. Actually, Thiazi sort of looking at he's not going to. He has limited amount. He's going to use this later.
So I'm gonna go. I'll meet you after, I guess.
You are not coming to the council.
I'm not a military advisor.
You will be needed there. The rest of your gypsies will likely be there.
All right then.
Fill my glass with some of that. You begin walking. Richter, you hear the horn, and you are already sort of headed towards the meeting anyway. You converge at the tent, entering from different sides, and you see in the very middle of this sort of giant sort of almost like giant circus tent. It's not really big. Just a big sort of canvas bell tent. There is a huge sort of wooden table set up in the middle, with sort of papers and maps sort of all spread out. You can see the camp, and you can see various little sort of painted wooden pieces that represent different factions within. And you can see Elgrin and Fleet within there. Other people begin sort of entering. You see Georian. You see the rest of Fate's children. You see the church enter. So Dylan, along with Moran's and Aureus himself. You see Dawn's Blade. Richter arrives with Siegfried, as well as Fourty arrives. You see the glinting forces. So you see Yashar and Wolf, as well as Jasper Braythorn. You see Thiazi enter with Dutch and a couple of woodwoads which wait outside. In fact, one of them hops onto Thiazi's shoulder.
I go
and
in
enters
there.
in.
When they enter, I immediately rush up to Thiazi and greet him very warmly.
He sort of picks you up. I don't like it here. It's cold, and there's lots of people.
We'll get used to it. You and me both. And I give him a little gentle elbow in the rib.
Yeah. It for you and him, it like although time has not passed that relatively few, he obviously looks exactly the same, and he doesn't see that bothered about how long it's been. It just doesn't matter to a Archdruid. He just he's perpetually living. You see the old orc One Eye of Grumpsh. She is there, flanked by a sort of rather gnarly-looking chief that you imagine is probably the chief of the, or the current chief of the Peaks. He's a good like full-blood orc, so he's a good like 6.5 foot.
How tall's Dutch?
Bigger.
He's pit slave big.
Oh fuck.
Yeah. He's like pit slave big.
Jesus.
'Cause he's a full-blood orc.
Got to come up with a more woke name for PS.
You see, it's not the best. You see members of some of the Varamark nations. So you see the Ymir. You see a paladin in sort of shining plate with a sort of dark black goatee, and that's got kind of like greys in it, and the same sort of swept back black with greys in his hair. The very very Varamarkian face, like very looks quite similar to Varian. It's that kind of same Varamarkian sort of chiseled, kind of Nordic looking jaw. You recognise this figure. Who's got the highest intelligence? I think it's probably Dylan.
16, my intelligence.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dylan, you recognise this person. You recognise him from smell and from the way he holds himself in the room immediately as a man that you met called Lyndon Fiel, who was the paladin you met in the Ymir forest along with those strange folk. He was the paladin that fled to the Ymir from Fielstown, because Fielstown was taken. If you remember, like he was the dude who was building the resistance with the Foal.
What's his name?
Lyndon Fiel of Fielstown. You also see the Foal there. The ones they're sort of druidic looking to an extent. They're like the kind of forest folk of the Varamark.
I imagine them being a bit Wendigo.
Yeah, they're sort of like they're really lanky. They're sort of like really lanky with yellow painted faces, like to replicate a Gith. They have that sort of like yellow face, and you see one of them there with the painted face, and the other one, a full blood Gith, standing in the room with all of this sort of like forest like wooden sort of armor all around him. You see a man who clearly is a man and another person who looks to be a Stein. You recognise their sort of sildry. So they're like people from Barrowsborg, but you don't recognise them. Barrowsborg was totally fucked. As everyone begins to gather, you hear a sort of mighty screech from outside, and the kind of wind blows in from one of the flaps, and you hear a kind of clink clink crunch of mail hitting the ground, and thrusting the sort of canvas aside, you see there are plenty of like strong Varamarkian, like sort of tall Viking style sort of women. You've got Yashar, who's sort of more imperial. You've got Siegfried, who's the kind of like more rough Varamarkian. but the sort of visage of this figure always strikes you when they enter a room. You see Rethgwad enter the room once more with sort of like full decked out plate, form-fitting, with that same sort of massive eagle-like gauntleted arm, with the sort of eagle's metal feathers and claws on one, a long sort of thin sword slung over her back. She steps in. She looks, older. She's like everyone, sort of more weathered, but you didn't think someone could look more sort of battle hardy. She, out of everyone in the camp, appears the most sort of authoritative in a way. She strides into the sort of main camp, and immediately sort of Fleet moves over and greets her, and she sort of nods towards him and steps over towards the central room. Fleet turns.
Sorry.
Yes, no.
Describing the room, did you say that there was like a round table in the centre, or am I mishearing?
There's like a big sort of freshly cut looking. It's not like a kind of oil table. It's like a fresh, large sort of wooden table with what look to be sort of maps and wooden, like sort of tokens, wooden pieces laid out on top of it. In fact, allow me to do it and draw it.
Oh.
Do you know where the other grid sheet is? Is it sort of down near there, or did I put them over here? I think I might have put them down over here. Yeah.
Do you want us to clear some space?
Yeah, let's clear a tiny bit of room in the middle.
Can we go have a little break at like 9?
Yeah, in fact, what's the time now? Maybe we should have a break.
25 to 9.
We could do the meeting and then have a quick.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, cool.
Can anyone hear me at the moment?
Yeah.
We can hear you, dude.
Cool. I know that you guys are probably planning on doing a bit of an all-nighter. I'm probably going to have to call it around the usual time. I'm really sorry about that.
That's fine, dude. That's fine. Totally fine.
Awesome. Thank you.
You passed me a black pen, Ruben.
Okay.
So, what you see is
I feel like some kind of like sickly heir to a kingdom who's like, let me see. I want to see the birds one last time.
Not allowed to see the birds. You got the pneumonia.
Got no legs.
You ain't got no eyes.
Your gout is too bad, my lord.
Will I have new lungs in heaven, Father?
No, you're a cursed spawn and a bastard.
All right. Hurl me in the fire. Sacrifice me for the age.
Oh God, this got dark. This is what happens when Tashi isn't take.
I shall die a colossus.
You can't just meet us.
No, we're not gonna burn you. That means I'll have to fucking clean you up. You can go in the moat like the rest of the shit.
you can see a
Don't
bunch of
breathe in fumes that are released from my body. You shall surely die.
you can see a bunch of tokens laid out, wooden tokens representing different factions. You have these are the three Varamarkian factions. The green is the Fol. That sort of paladin-looking one is the Fjell, and that's the Stein. That's the Bravethorn, and that's the Glinting Kingdom. That's obviously Bryn Shander, Gypsies of Fortune, Falderal, who you haven't seen yet. Church of the High Hunt.
I want to be that.
So this man represents the table.
Thiazi.
Yeah.
This represents the
They're the wooden pieces, yeah. And who am I missing? I'm missing the
So we got the Shivra here, I think.
yeah, Shivra. I am missing frickin'
It's him.
Who's that?
School.
fuck, who am I missing? I'm missing the
Riddles.
Richter's
Dawn's Blade.
Dawn's Blade.
Oh, sick.
Oh yeah, the decrepit old nightmare.
Dawn's Blade.
Wonky sword.
Those are like the tokens, the forces of the good peoples, the good peoples of the realms. You can see people sort of looking towards them. Fleet addresses the council.
Just before.
Yes.
Is the table very big?
The table, it's fairly big, yeah.
Richter would like to approach it and place the Rook's halberd down on the table.
Okay. You sort of place it down onto it.
Just to make some kind of token gesture of we're here for thee.
Siegfried sort of looks towards you, a little confused, but is like, good stuff.
Richter notices that no one is following his halberd back up, but he doesn't.
What am I going to do? Put my hands on the fucking table?
You can take them off.
I don't want to.
How are you going to wipe your bum? Okay.
Get people to do that for me. With
Loads.
Fleet addresses you all sitting around the table. Good people. People of the Varamak. People of the Great Lakes. And people of the kingdoms beyond. We are all here for the same purpose. We are here because an evil has plagued our lands for too long. A blight, a force, led by one who calls themselves King Bren, or the Shadow Lich. We are here to vanquish that foe and all that it stands for, and rid this realm of that atrocity. And there's sort of a ripple goes through, and most people sort of nod. We have much to discuss before the coming eve. For tonight is the anniversary of the Blood Moon. My brother, he gestures towards Elgrin, has foreseen this. You know his foresight to be true, for we are joined today by the Gypsies of Fortune, as prophesized. He sort of looks toward, gestures towards you, all standing in sort of various different places with your little groups.
I imagine we all give a knowing nod.
Elgrin has foreseen, and it has been prophesied that either tonight the world burns or it is saved. It is up to us and our brave soldiers to fight this evil. For if we do not win, then may we be saved. Silence around the table. But first, we must, and the flap of the door opens, and you see in walk 2 dwarves. One wearing sort of like a full dwarvish style helm that looks like a crown, jeweled with like all sorts of jewelry and gems sort of encrusted into it. Full sort of dwarven scale mail plate, sort of like pieces and pieces ringed sort of onto each other. He clanks sort of into the room, flanked by what looks to be another dwarf, more in sort of mercantile, luxurious robes, lots of rings on his fingers. He has a mohawk, a black sort of mohawk down that is plaited at the back, and he has lots of like sort of piercings all over his face. You recognize this second individual from your time at Thaldaral. You definitely saw this person as one of the higher ups in the Dolan Gallard ball so long ago. And stooping in, walking behind them, a shorter elf with obsidian skin, long, like sort of dark purple and black robes with sort of silver rings and trimmings around them, a long hooked nose, an elderly looking drow, which Dylan, you recognize almost immediately, and you remember the name of Zanrus Doret, the father to the 2 that chased you on your escape from Thaldaral, the prime negotiator and sort of concierge of the drow ambassador in Thaldaral, the one that you snuck into like his rooms, enters along with these 2. Apologies that we are late. We were held up in the cold. He sort of gestures towards the rest. There's no apologies needed. We're right on time, says what looks to be some kind of royal dwarf, the one in like the full plate. He sort of gestures over. Continue where you left off, then. Everyone sort of looks around, and Fleet kind of clears his throat. Right. As I was saying, come on, lad, spit it out. Everyone's waiting.
We were waiting for you, actually. You're the one who was fucking late.
This dwarf sort of turns, and you can see like immediately kind of goes red in the face. How dare! And you see a hand placed on his shoulder by Zanrus. There, Prince Bengrad. You do have a temper on you. Just remember, we are in company. He sort of looks around. He gazes sort of his eye across. Doesn't seem to recognise who anyone is at this stage.
Because I remember him.
Does he look like I don't know, is there like more to him than meets the eye?
You can roll me an insight check.
That I will.
Come on, Rogue, what does it become?
It becomes a
69.
17.
Yeah, it does.
A 17.
Yeah.
He creeps you out. Even the way he talks, it's just full of like malicious undertone. Other than that, though, it's just very difficult to tell. You would naturally assume that he is not to be trusted and has ulterior motives, just from your previous experiences. But yeah, it's hard to tell necessarily.
I'll sidle over to Zook somewhere, and when I find him, I'll whisper into his ear. It'd be pertinent to keep an eye on that one, as another like, sort of like gesture.
Yeah, I don't like his energy. I'll keep my eyes peeled. I'm gonna watch very closely.
Fleet clears his throat once more. As I was saying, it is imperative that we come to an agreement for our plans ahead. We must also be wary that we may be being watched. Everyone here is a trusted member of this war force. But even so, he sort of looks up and around. I suggest we keep our eyes peeled.
Can I cast Detect Magic?
You certainly can.
Sorry, do we need the orcs on there as well? Peaks.
Sorry, I did mean to put them on.
I also have, I think with my my blind sight ability allows me to notice like scrying things.
It wouldn't necessarily, because it makes no noise
Okay.
at all.
You can't see invisible people.
With
Invisible
blind
people like
sight,
that.
you can see in like invisible things due to like them moving and making sound. But it wouldn't make a sound, so I don't think your blind sight would.
Okay.
You'd have to use a spell like see invisibility or something.
Oh,
like that.
just invisible people. I'd be able to.
Yeah, you would definitely be able to sense invisible people.
Yeah.
But probably not because it's like a floating orb that doesn't emit any sound.
Okay.
It specifically says doesn't emit sound or movement.
What did we use before to detect it?
Well, detect magic
Probably
would
detect magic.
would pick it up. You'd have to sort of walk about the tent.
Yeah, I might do that. Float.
You walk about the tent for a while. It's like 10 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
you don't find anything. Okay. We must plan for this evening. We'll pass us over to Rethwad, who has the latest intelligence from your scouting missions. Rethwad steps forwards. Right. I have seen the shattered tower. First hand. Close up. And it is a sight to behold. But it should not strike fear into any of you. It is a dark place. We will bring the light there. Our main fight will be on the plateau itself. It would appear that this fractured city has an aura about it. I had fought flying creatures, strange shadowy drakes. It is guarded from the air. And it is also guarded by the main force on the plateau itself. I estimate 30,000. You see sort of a ripple kind of go through the council.
How many dragons?
Not dragons. Other strange flying creatures. Regardless, there is an aura about the city. Something shielding it. As I approached, I was unable to get closer. And there were too many of them harrying me and Petey. I managed to towers surrounding the city on the outside of this aura, seeming to be responsible for its existence. We will have to hit the towers in order to bring this barrier down. I was unable to pass, but my arrow stayed true and flew through it. As well as that, the Shivra seemingly can move freely between this barrier, and strangely yet, as can the school. Well, what of their forces then? Says Prince Bengrad. Well, their forces are strong, mainly comprised of Shivra, although the school do have a force, and some cavalry packs of their lizards.
What siege weapons do we have?
Siege weapons. We have none of the kind.
Oh.
How do you propose to bring the towers down?
Aurea steps forwards. There must be some kind of magic within it. Perhaps someone can enter and see what corruption is taking it. He sort of immediately looks towards you. Thiazi steps forwards. Yes, well, maybe we go inside the tower, or maybe we just bring the whole thing down from the outside. Did you think about that? Did you? You see Aureus kind of taking offence.
I sort of like look between the both of them.
They both breathe in their kind of big Minotaur way.
We have business within the tower. That's what this is all for.
But perhaps you go within these 3 towers that are holding this barrier, and you see what is going on.
Or we could just blow them up.
Are the towers themselves protected, guarded?
It looked like it from the sky, indeed. There were many surrounding these. They are clearly defended. And clearly that means there's something
How long do we have until our forces meet on the plains?
A man steps towards the Stein. I am sorry, but I am confused as to who these people are and why they are speaking on the behalf of us, Varamakians. Fleet addresses him. Brynjolf, these are the Gypsies of Fortune. He sort of scoffs. I do not know them.
And I know not you, but you know who we are. All about to risk our lives to try and save either the people we love or the money we've invested in shit. So, should we just get on with it?
Where were you when... where were you in the fights?
Says Stein, the Stein, sort of the second Stein next to Brynjolf.
I was rescuing my companions here, Dora, from the clutches of a dragon in the Feywilds. Time travels differently there.
He sort of scoffs. You were in the Feywild rescuing some damsel in distress. That sounds very far-fetched.
Well, maybe far-fetched for someone whose mind can't comprehend things, but yeah, that's what happened.
You see, like, sort of the eyebrow of Zanrus twitch.
Can we take the opportunity to produce the electric dragon's heart from the bag of withholding?
You can roll me an animal handling check.
You got a tickle.
This might not go so well. Okay, here we go. 16.
Oh.
You do. You manage to produce it and pull it out and slam it onto the table. Siegfried immediately begins clapping. Fucking hell. You see across the way a couple of people sort of nod towards you. You see Silas looks sort of slightly taken aback, as well as Thiazi actually looks shocked.
I should have been there. It was quite electrified.
No. The old One-Eye steps forwards, and in a sort of broken common,
Grumsh wishes us to fight. So, we fight. These towers, they are trap. It is possible they are trap.
Rethguad, how long did it take you to fly to these towers?
flying on the back of PT. Not but 15, 20 minutes. But marching, it would take at least an hour or two.
And is there a position you can take where you won't be seen from the ground or the sky? Or Is it an open approach?
There is only a cluster of rocks marked on this map. She sort of spreads this out. Only a small cluster of strange shards sticking up the ground. Other than that, I'm afraid not. It is clear and flat, as the plateau says.
If you can lead me there before the forces meet, then I might be able to make my way inside and see what lies within.
If we approach, if we get anywhere near, they will see us. There's an army out there, and another one in the sky.
The Azzy. Is there a way of going under?
Well, there could possibly be. I would have to take the form of well, my favorite kind. But it would only be me moving through that stone, unless you accompanied me, Zook.
Well,
it's not a form I know.
I mean, invisibility is a small trick that I'm able to do. Surely more amongst you can do such a thing.
Fleet sort of sighs. I fear that we are approaching this, and I mean no offence, as an adventuring party. But that is not what we are. We are a force of 10,000 strong. They triple our number, but they are Shivra. And we are people, the free people of the Varamak, the Great Lakes.
With all respect, words are all well and good, but when you're on the open field of battle, and we're surrounded regardless of whether or not they're Shivra, we'll be slaughtered. You must understand this. And I understand we're not a party, but with all due respect, this battle is a distraction from what truly must be done.
There's sort of a ripple, after saying that, a ripple of clear sort of annoyance and disagreement among most people.
I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to tell you the truth.
I understand the truth well, Dylan, and I thank you for your honesty, but you do not know the ways of warfare.
No, I do not, but if you can keep these men alive for as long as possible, I swear, myself and my friends, we will end this. I understand your trepidation.
Elgrin steps forwards. It is noble of you, Gypsies, but you cannot do this alone.
No, we cannot. Like you said, there's an army out there. We need you to get us in there. But once we're in, then the rest lies up to us.
What do we have to thin their ranks?
Jasper steps forward. We have pure of heart, and we have cold steel.
Do we have any like big oil barrels we can throw up?
Dylan audibly sighs.
So we have fought a siege. We know something about warfare at least. We know ambushing, skirmishing, booby trapping. It's what we did at Igmiri, isn't it?
It is
we
indeed.
blew up the bridges, slow the advance.
And do you remember what else we did at Umiri? We worked together as an entire town to defend that place we called a home. That's what we'll do here today.
Everyone here has something to lose if we fail today.
Rufus, your words are noble, but we need a plan. You are the best tactician I've ever known. You must have some thoughts. Fleet, you must inform us of the lay of the land. There must be a defensible position we can take.
What do our units comprise of? Do we have...
We are not here to defend. We are here to strike, and the land is unforgiving and cold. The people have been here for some time, and I'm sure you've seen the morale in camp. It is not great. And with this approaching blood moon that so many have heard of or experienced, the people are fearful.
We cannot take a defensive ground when we need to approach and take this head on.
I'm not suggesting that we take a defensive ground, but we must use the geography to our advantage. Otherwise, it's numbers against a greater force, you know?
It is unfortunately flat.
Tell us about these towers. Describe them, Rethguard. How big are they? How tall? How far apart?
They are large. There are 3 that I have seen. One directly ahead. The other 2 at the sides of the city, on the other slat corners, making a triangle around the whole city itself. Behind the city, the mountains rise up, where the jagged peaks sort of lay beyond. We would not be able to approach all the way round. It would be too much. But these towers, standing tall and wide, as thick as probably a large castle turret itself.
Your experience fighting the Shifra in larger numbers, do they show any kind of organization, or do they fight without thought? Are they easily led? Is my question, I suppose.
They are controlled by some outside force. Something guides them and tells them where to go, but it is not like they are being puppeteered individually. It is more that they are given an order, for sometimes they merely all retreat at once at the exact same time.
We can guess at this, surely. This is Bren.
We could bait a charge. You know, open up a weakness to draw the enemy to attack for it and then counterpunch.
These towers, Rethguard says, they are the source of the barrier.
We have to get there first.
So we must get to these towers, yet they are surrounded by 30,000 Shifra.
We could, says Fleet, draw them out into a full attack. If we muster the main force and hit them straight on in the centre, they will be drawn into the fight and will pull away from at least the side towers, if not the front, leaving them less defended. And perhaps then smaller teams, gesturing towards the Gypsies, gesturing towards the Fate's children, could strike at these towers. The alternative is we split the force in 3 separate forces and we strike the towers evenly across all 3 flanks.
3,000 versus 1,000, that's too... You can't spread our forces, surely.
No, I do not like that idea.
When you're outnumbered, you have to stay together.
In terms
your backs against each other.
In terms of cavalry...
I'm sorry, but what does this orc know of warfare, says the Prince of Thaldaral.
Oh, I've helped defend against a siege involving an army of were-creatures.
I've heard of this siege. A siege of a small town in fuck knows where.
Yeah, sorry, you've read books, have you?
No, I've actually been in battles.
Well, maybe if you've got so much to offer, you could open your mouth and offer some advice instead of just being a sarky little prick.
How dare you talk to a king that way? And you can see like other people are beginning to kind of shout in at this point. Thiazi is just like banging the table.
Yeah.
People like some of the Varamarkians are arguing amongst themselves. And you can see stepping forwards. I think like Gamorrean is sort of just like next to you, just being like what's going on, you know, in just a totally different way. A voice enters everyone's minds. A strange voice, one that you would probably recognise immediately, Aidan, as a heavy Gith accent to the voice. Yeah. Please, be silent. We have much to discuss.
And people are kind of freaked out and slowly kind of begin stopping. And you can see the Gith has sort of stepped forwards as one of the foal. My lord has said a few things into your heads, okay? We have 2 things to worry about on top of this. We have the Devil Brothers. They are out there somewhere, and some of us bear the scars. And he sort of points towards Fleet, who has the scars on his face. People kind of silent at that. Fourty steps forwards. I will vanquish them. You have my word. I will not let them escape again.
I have no doubt.
Sigrid puts a hand on his shoulder. It's not the time.
I think if we can slay them, then that will be a great blow to the wider force. Tell me, what do you have in means of cavalry?
Yashar steps sort of forwards around and says, well, the Grington Kingdom has a small force of cavalry, but we are only 50 strong. And I believe that's all we have. The Varamark aren't really known for their mounted riders, except for the school. And a couple of the, Varamarkians begin to sort of scoff and get annoyed. Sigrid, you see, is sort of very red of face as Yashar talks.
From my memory, wild horses don't do well in the snow. They find it tacky. They slip. I imagine the same.
These are not wild horses, Zook. These are trained war horses. I do not hate Dutch's idea of a fake cavalry charge, drawing them out, and then we hit them with a larger force from two angles. And then, like you said, Fleet, we can make our way to these towers. I might have a way to deal with it if we need to bring the tower down, or if it's magical, then hopefully Zook or Richter even can deal with that.
Nonetheless, however we draw them out, we'll have a limited amount of time to bring these towers down.
And
for once we do, then surely they will sense that the barricade has fallen, and they themselves will try and retreat to the keep to protect whatever is within.
Yes. You speak truth, Suncrest, says Aureus. These towers, if they are holding this magical barrier, it would be my suspicion and my professional opinion as they would all need to be destroyed or rid of the magic within them to bring this barrier down. Simply taking one would likely not be enough.
Meaning that the main force just has to hold.
Are we sure we can't, if we think the enemy are going to retreat back into the towers and try and hold it there, could we not then blow them up? Save men having to storm it, fight upstairs.
I am confused, says Anki. What do you mean by blowing them up?
Blow up the towers.
How?
Do we not have barrels of explosives?
I look to Carolyn.
He's not in here.
Oh. I look to Richter.
There were only a cluster of maybe like 5 or 6 barrels.
I think it's likely that there's some arcane influence within these towers which is holding this barrier aloft. I don't think we'll have to destroy said towers. In fact, they might be useful defensible positions once we have taken them.
What if... I mean, the issue with the towers is that they're also surrounded by flying creatures. What if we had an airborne distraction of some kind, whilst another, more smaller group swept in and quickly disabled the towers one by one, whilst the creatures of the air were distracted? And the main force, all they have to do is hold out until we've done so.
If I am in the vicinity of one of the towers, I can cut a hole right through its side. We wouldn't even need the front doors. Any part of it. I could pass wall. Perhaps the least defensive part.
I mean, if we are going to take that kind of approach, an airborne force with a few of us, we could drop in from above. And as long as the main force is not focused on us, then we could do this.
We can hold out,
Always better
says
to
Fleet.
fight down.
But I fear one force for 3 towers is not enough.
No, it must be done quickly.
Well, if we take one in this manner, and then another in
Yeah, then
another.
surely that would split the enemy once we remove one tower.
Then who is going to volunteer for such a daring task?
I'm guessing as a king, you'd want the honour of leading the vanguard.
I am no king, but he gestures towards Prince Bengard, Bengard.
Oh, sorry, I thought that was the other guy who said he was a king.
No, Zan Roosteret is like the Drow ambassador,
Oh.
and the dwarvish guy is the king of Thaldorau, or is the prince? Sorry, Prince Bengrad.
Well, I mean, I couldn't go myself, technically, because of my lineage.
So you're not going to fight, but you're in this tent talking about the lives of other people.
I will command, and I will command.
And you can see his face
You
getting
will
red.
delegate. Like
As soon as that happens, like more sort of shouting happens. And Fleet bashes his hand down onto the table loudly. Please, we must decide. The hour is nigh. How many teams? 3? Who can fly among us? And how many of us can go airborne?
I can fly.
We could fly, all of us,
I also.
with the help of a spell.
We have the means.
Elgrin sort of steps forwards. Fate's children, we can.
I turn to Thiazi. It's like, Thiazi, I wouldn't ask this of you in any other situation, but I fear that you may be the only person with a different way of entry. But if you could get inside the tower quietly, underground, and you also have the ability to dispel whatever it is that holds those towers up.
I can go underground, but it is... Zook, it would be difficult. I would not know where I was coming up, and it is a long way to travel without seeing where I am going. Also, I cannot travel underground here. It is ice, and beneath it is water. It is not rock. I can travel through rock. I cannot travel through ice.
Let us instead ask a different question. Let us assume that this is something magical. Would you agree that's creating this barricade?
People nod.
Then the question should be, who amongst us can dispel such magic?
Elgrin steps forwards.
I'll step forwards and float forwards.
I'm going to step forwards.
I'm going to slowly just push Dutch back and go, no.
Raises an eyebrow.
I've punched magic things gone before.
You're not wrong.
I'm just trying to think who else will step forwards. Hang on.
Wait, Rick to step forward as well, yeah?
Richter can step forwards.
Yes.
Yunin steps forwards, and Silas steps forwards.
How many is that? 5 or 6?
Including Dutch, I think 6.
So amongst us, we can do this.
Thiazi steps forwards. Sorry, yeah.
Oh, cool, we got a beast. That's
He's
great. Not a derogatory way.
Then I suggest 3 different groups, each with a source of dispelling.
Perhaps 2 just to cover our bases. We will need some of us to take care of their airborne forces as we approach.
I can do that. I can probably draw them into a fight, says Rathquad.
Accompanied by a handful of warriors, as it surely will not be a walk in the park walking up this tower.
Georian steps forwards.
Who is that again?
Carry a few of them I kill on my worky way up into the Skydie Bold.
You can? You fly?
He sort of hunches over, and the wings sort of spread out from his back. These like small, sort of little crystalline wings. Yeah, you saw him come and land in Miri when you first arrived.
I thought he was like jumping, like a frog.
No, he has like sort of stubby wings. And as he kind of, he's only a young dragon. He's very small.
Squat.
He's like, smaller than Petey.
Yeah.
A rustling of feathers brushes air sort of from the thing, and you can see through the gap, like Rethward moves over and pulls the sort of canvas back, and Petey is there squawking and sort of moving back, and another larger creature, multicolored feathers all down its big rook's back. Rock. It's fucking
Lord Tiki.
Lord Tiki of the fucking High Canopy.
Seeing this Ook like jumps off my shoulder, goes over, it's like this, and then as he does, he swells up into a larger bird and starts like kind of giving him a bit of like a feather clean.
I float out. I know that you are a traveller of many, many miles, but this truly is an honour.
He sort of bows deeply, shaking some of the like ice crystals sort of off him.
You do not have to come.
It is my honour, says Lord Tiki.
You must have heard our very need. The situation calls for someone just like you.
He sort of looks around this cold environment, and you can see Thiazi kind of jogs over. He sort of gives him a bit of ruffle. Tiki kind of steps back away, sort of pruning his feathers a bit more.
I am yours.
We need...
Does that thing where the beak sort of like does that slowly.
Anything that you and your kind need after this day, I swear I will honour, and the Aeocene will always be indebted to you, as will the rest of this kingdom.
He sort of puts his head down and presses it sort of against yours.
Do you think you could fight off a horde of airborne monsters for some time?
I certainly can.
Well, that would be most useful.
We have 2 parties at least who can deal with these towers.
It would seem we need a 3rd. I will not be accompanying these tower dispatches. You can see Elgrin sort of turns. Brother, you must. Elgrin, I must lead the force. I will be the one to lead the charge.
He's right. It will seem a hopeless fight otherwise. 10,000 against 30.
There must be strong warriors among us. And he sort of looks towards Yashar and Wolf and Siegfried and some of the other Varamarkians. But if we are to hold out, 3 teams seems a better bet. Faster, more efficient. We will not have to hold out for as long. Once that shield is down, well, hopefully the forces will scatter or retreat or pull back to the city. Once that shield is down, that is your time. And he looks towards you all.
Then is there a third group here amongst us? Or do we need to split our two groups into slightly smaller?
Our groups work well because of everyone that's in the group. If we start splitting them up,
I worry for you, Gypsies. We have not discussed this, but I think it is vital that we do. You are all in possession of the stones, are you not?
We are.
These stones, we know that Bren is after them. We know that the Devil Twins were hunting you for them. You will be a target. And perhaps we can use that to our advantage, but if we split you up, that is more dangerous. I agree with Dutch. You are best together. Perhaps some of the other warriors from the other factions will join one half of Fate's children. Yunin can dispel, along with Elgrin and Silas. Perhaps 2 with one and 1 with the other.
And Thiazi said that he could, didn't he?
And Thiazi, you can make up the second, so each team will have 2 that will know the arcane ways.
Really? They're not arcane, so says Thiazi, grumbling.
And if we bring down a tower it's quicker than the other, then we will hurry to the next tower along.
Perhaps there will be a way of communicating between them. They are a distance apart, as they are triangulated around this city, as Rethguard says. A flare, or perhaps some sign? What can people perform?
I can send up a moonbeam.
It's not huge.
At night, that should be a beacon. How far up does that?
I can create sparks or flame, but
I can
not
fire
very
an
large.
blast up to 120 feet.
Well, I thought moonbeam came down from the sky, didn't it, actually?
I have
Little pillar.
explosive arrows which I could pass into the sky as well.
That will need to be decided. Something that we all know and we can all tell means success, or perhaps means that they need help.
The explosive arrows are all of one source, so we would know that is what it means.
Could we divvy them out? Jin, you could take a few.
I have 2.
I have...
And Arabella could take the others.
Oh, I forgot the fire arrows.
They will need bolstering, the 2 groups.
Let's do the fire arrows.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I gave you fire arrows. Or did I give you explosive ones? I can't remember.
I've got 4 fire arrows.
Okay. Let's use the fire arrows because then that's more like light as opposed to...
So
And they
if
lift the whole
Jin-
way they go up and come down.
Yeah.
if Jin and Arabella take a few off you then,
So 2 each?
and then they can go in 2 separate groups.
Yeah.
So we've got... Oh, actually, we've got 9 total, so 3 each. 3 for each group.
And what are we using them to signify?
That we've successfully disabled the tower.
Well, I think they'll visibly know that, won't they?
Not necessarily.
Is there not like wispy energies coming from the tower to the main shield?
You are correct in this, Dutch. The towers themselves seem to have a purplish energy to them that emits from the side closest to the city. That is where I could see the translucid energy of this barrier.
So we use the fire arrows if we need reinforcements.
Can I suggest that... Can I make a suggestion? 2 arrows in quick succession means success, and a single means help is needed.
People nod around the room. This is a good idea. I volunteer myself to go with one of the groups, says Bravethorn. And I know that Yenlith and Reuben could come as well. I have no means of flight, however.
Well, perhaps it's best that we think of how many people we can get up into the air.
I have space for myself and one other.
I could take myself and one or two others. And Thiazi, do you have the capabilities?
Of course. Oh, of course. Too many voices.
Lord Tiki, could he?
Well, he could, but Lord Tiki has also promised to
He's needed.
He's also
be the
colossal,
distraction.
isn't he?
He's fucking big.
He's,
Yeah.
he's large.
He could, but then he wouldn't be harrying.
The beasts.
He's,
Otherwise,
he's
if we
gonna
try and
draw
drop
away
in there,
these beasts. That's your plan.
Target too.
It'd be obvious as well.
Draw away the Nazgul.
he's too large. He'd be spotted. He's a better distraction.
So, on the other hand, the force that will draw out their host, I expect that they will not expect us to attack in such a way.
Union steps forward. I have the abilities of giving people flight. I can twin it and give it to a few, but it only lasts a few minutes. 10. We would have to push up with the main force and then leave it at the last moment on foot. Perhaps one group can do this.
That
A
seems
group
fair.
with me. I should be able to allow us all to fly, although we would be flying low and over some of the forces.
Yunin, you are familiar with fighting with your companions. I think it would be wise that you stick with them.
I will. But my companions are split. I will.
Well, we have Thiazi and what's the name of the guy?
Thiazi and so there's
So-
Thiazi, Yunin,
No, but
Silas, and Elgrin.
yeah, Yunin and Silas. Of course, Yunin and Silas. And
So Yunin and Silas are gonna stay together, and Thiazi and Elgrin are gonna stay together, and then Arabella is gonna go with Thiazi, and Jin is gonna go with the other two.
yeah,
What about gaze?
Gaze goes with Silas.
Jin will go with the rest. Not with Yenlith because she's obviously got the shooting. They can shoot the fire arrow.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
In that case, Arabella and Jin can stay, and then Yenlith. Yeah. So actually, it's only Elgrin that's leaving, and he's going with Thiazi, Bravethorn, and Reuben and Yenlith. Because they've got Thiazi and Elgrin, and then they've got that. So there's 5 of them, and then there's Silas, Anchor, Gaze, Arabella, and Jin, and Yunin are the Fate's children.
Is there a way that we can...
I think our resources are stretched too thin to be able to access 2 towers at the same time. Your capabilities to cast fly is limited, but Zook, we can. Gypsies, I think we could take 2 towers. I know they're split between, but
I appreciate your confidence, but I cannot put that sort of faith in you merely for time. We do not know what is in them. We need 3.
Do we know where the entrances are? Are they on the ground, or is there something up high?
I could not see, but there were movement on the top. It looks like they have fortifications and some kind of means of harrying me. They shot a few bolts my way.
Okay.
If they have siege ballistas, maybe we can turn them on the city once we've destroyed the force field.
We can start causing our own distraction.
So, Thiazi and Elgrin, your group. Thiazi can carry at least 2. And then Elgrin, you can change and carry a few. And then Gamorrean and Tiki and Rethguard and Petey can be our distraction in the air. Sorry, Rethguard was talking. I said Rethguard, but she's talking. Well, While the other force, how are they to fare an attack fleet? We shall figure that out. I will lead the middle force, and I'll bait them in, while the rest of our forces separate, split into two, and come in from the flanks. I believe on open ground, the only way we can hide more people is behind others. If we are in a column, a thick column, I will charge forth and take up their view, while the rest of the force splits, and while I engage with the Emiri forces, the rest will engage from the sides.
All right, should we put this out on the table so we can try and visualise the plans?
Yeah, go for it. You guys can move the
those
pieces.
Forces meant to be on each tower.
Not particularly.
They're just the sort of school force.
Where are
Represents
they?
some
Is that where
forces.
they are, or are they residing in the towers, or are they camped out the front of the main?
There's the Breathguard says like the main forces are just sort of stretched in a big semicircle around it.
So
there seems to be major forces mainly at the towers. Yeah, so like it is sort of like this, but there's kind of bits in between.
I'll have to move my mic a bit.
Which tower is closest to the area where we can most easily access the tower?
Which what?
Which of the smaller towers is closest to the access points to the larger tower?
To the center of the city.
City.
Any of them. It is a ways distance. Even the city is large. Once the barrier is down, we will still have to make our way through it.
We should reconvene then after the towers have been disabled.
Indeed.
It shouldn't matter, but should we treat the central tower as a rallying point?
Which groups are heading to which towers?
I think we should attack the towers on the flanks first.
Aye. We could take the...
And then
which way's north?
Braith on some steps, and then our force, led by Yunin, we can move with the column as it is closest to that tower, and then using our restricted flight, move closer and fly over to the middle tower.
Yeah, splitting the forces so it's an easier flight for you to access the central.
We'll take the... Which is north, which is east, south? Like, looking at this.
Draw a compass on the...
Yeah, north is literally
North is
straight up, yeah.
What if we take the eastern tower? And then Thiazi and their group take the western?
Very well. Whoa. Fleet and Ruther say at the exact same time.
Oh, big mare energy.
At this point, they're all the same.
We should find, if anyone does have a way of communicating, for instance, if Thiazi, your group, finds a way of disabling the tower and our group hasn't figured it out yet, then it would be helpful if you could find a way of telling us.
Elgrin says, I don't have the means of that sort of communication.
I suppose, Richter, do you have your spell?
I do. I absolutely do.
Silas and Yunin doesn't. Silas does.
We're just gonna have to hope that it's
one in
obvious
Silas's
to all of us, or if not, failing that, the Gypsies and the majority of the Fate's children discover a way to disable the tower first.
Okay.
So,
It is settled. Does everyone agree with this? People around the table sort of nod. What of the forces? Who's going on what flank? What are you positioning?
So we're not putting where the main parties.
So
what
yeah,
towers
like
they're
Thiazi's
prioritising
going there.
first.
Rethguard's doing the air. I'll put her there. Bravethorn is heading
Middle one.
Middle.
Union.
with Elgrin. He's going with Elgrin, right?
Yeah, Elgrin's the one that can cast fly.
Yeah, it's Elgrin, Thiazi, and Braithorn's gang. And then...
Thiazi, yeah.
Sorry, that's Thiazi.
Yep.
And then... I haven't got... Oh, yeah. Then that's technically Fleet. But no, that's Bronze Blade. I haven't put one out. Let me put...
How are they... Oh, Union can cast fly.
Yeah. So he's going to march up with the main force, so he can only fly for
No, that's the central. That's the central
force. That's the central one. So these guys are going to the west.
Yeah.
And they're just flying via
Thiazi.
I think we got some confusion here.
No, it's that.
Okay.
Yeah. So Thiazi is actually.
This is Thiazi is.
Thiazi's going with Union. No, because we've got too many dispellers on one flank.
Yeah, it's these boys. Jasper goes up with them. It's
Union and the main force.
Union and it's the Fate's children that are going to the middle.
Yeah, with Union.
They're flying.
Yeah,
sure.
That's it. Yeah.
I'm just.
Hey guys, sorry to do this during the strategy. I think I'm going to have to shoot.
That's fine, my dude.
Sorry guys, thank you so much for setting up.
I think to be honest, we'll see how much longer we go, because I think if we start a battle now, it's going to be probably go on ages. Well, I'll see what everyone wants to do.
Yeah.
Because we could always just chill and maybe have some more beers and do some other stuff for a bit. See you next time.
See you next time.
See you, son. Save the battle.
Well, let's do the rest of this, and there's some other stuff.
Oh yeah.
We can do this. We don't need to do this all in character. I quite like you guys to organise the forces of the Free Peoples on the flanks.
Yeah.
You can decide, but ultimately it's sort of like they will have their say after. But people seem to be listening at this point. So down the middle is obviously Fleet.
And like the heavily organised troop, heavily armoured, organised people who can won't break.
So the different factions have different capabilities.
Yeah.
So obviously the people of Amiri will follow Fleet down the middle, and the people of Amiri are kind of quite militaristically trained. And the people of Bryn Shander will also follow. So, in fact, I'll just put Rethguard there. Even though Rethguard's not leading them.
But she will be in the air.
She will be in the air, in the middle anyway, and they'll see her, and they fought in a battle before, and they basically say, Fleet is they will follow... Yeah. People of Bryn Shander will follow Fleet, because they're people of the Great Lakes.
I think the orcs would make a great counter-charge.
Yeah, I was thinking of the orcs maybe on the flank, ready to wrap around in a charge.
Maybe the orcs and...
So, here, ready to come in after or intercept. Because we need to take a force with us still for that tower, don't we? Because otherwise there's still going to be 10,000 school outside.
Unless we focus in on 2 towers.
I was thinking of that.
And then we haven't spread our forces, which are already thin. And
we've got 10,000 less of them.
Well... Yeah. We're moving them over to here, but the idea was that Fleet is going to charge in, and then as these all converge and are drawn away,
they'll retreat.
They'll break out.
They will move in, and then they'll hit them from the flank. They're not going to the towers.
Well, they'll probably we said they'd pull back a bit, and then they can sort of come round on the flanks.
Yeah, so that's the idea. So we're just sort of visualising by putting them further out, but they're going to come in for the first strike, and then everyone's going to be behind, and then they're going to kind of come. The idea was they're going to come.
That won't work because they'll be 30,000 strong hitting 10,000, so they would wrap round.
No, because their forces are spread out. They're not all 30,000 all in the middle. They're spread out across all 3 towers. So if they hit here or draw them into a fight, this force of 10,000, let's say, pushes up to strike here, while these, hopefully, are baited in. And if people are heading over here, then they're going to go like that. They're not going to attack this main force. So everyone needs to be in a column behind. This is what Fleet thinks.
Yeah.
In a column behind, probably not that, like a big column, so that as they're like, shit, that's the force, they all move in, and then they spread around, and the order in which you sort of put them in. I mean, this is what Fleet's saying. It's totally up to you. What you also
sort of what sort of
So you've
weaponry
already said
are they
orcs
equipped?
would be sick.
So like, what
there.
sort of stuff do the orcs have? They're lightly armored with two-handed weapons or bows. Or
They're lightly armored with like, some have like hunting bows, but they're not like a block. You know, they're like running along, and then they'll pull basically like tomahawk style bone.
They'd actually be
weapons
good
out.
with Ingmiri, I think, running in the strike force along in the middle.
yeah, because then they can
They're
break
quite light
out
of
and
feet,
fall back.
foot. Yeah.
Yeah, they can break out and fall back because you want them.
They're also totally not bothered about the ice. You would know.
So they
they're
can
like-
run.
So they can harry them as well. They can break forward with the bows, shoot them, draw them in, retreat behind the shields, and then fight from there.
So, but at the same
put
time,
them
they're
right.
quick, so they can flank. They can
And
get
they can
round
come
quickly.
around,
Yeah.
So
exactly.
if anything, they're like right there.
So the one thing I remember about the foal is that they're badass at camouflage and are from the Varamark. So although they're forest people, maybe they could fashion some
They're
kind
fine
of
with the snow.
with snow. So we could even have them as a small ambush force that sneaks up the eastern flank,
Yeah.
hiding,
And
Yeah.
and
before-
waits until everyone, and then
maybe,
they jump
yeah.
out and,
And then-
start
when
firing.
this force starts coming over, before it makes,
Just before it makes it, they
starts
suddenly pop
harrying
out.
them and then run.
Yeah.
Because the issue with the
Skirmishes.
issue with the column situation is like they're not just going to be like, oh yeah, let's go to this tip here. They're going to see the rest of the force and be like this, like.
Yeah, potentially.
So that's why we need a harrying force left on the flank.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If
just
they
to
come
slow them
here
down.
to actually do that, then that's why you have a force coming from the east
Yeah.
to then hit them at the
Yeah.
side.
Yeah,
It's hard to flank a force that's 3 times your size.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if you take them by surprise, that could.
Because if they're sneaky,
Okay, so the foal are going to be
because they can
right
move
on
up.
the edge.
Look, between
separately.
here and here, there is
Yeah.
something between that.
Mhm.
There is some
Yeah,
line
yeah.
of sight blocking before that tower. So if they're camouflaged and they
So
move
then
up,
there's dwarves, the other two, so the Stein and the fuck, what is it?
The
Stein and the Ymir,
yeah,
the Ym, sorry. Yep.
yeah.
And then we've got
Again, they're probably quite good on the snow. The church.
And
the
then you've got Church and
Dawn's Blade.
Dawn's Blade, which
What
are
are
both, you know, so Dawn's Blade is
Elite,
obviously
but-
elite, but less and very heavily armored. Both Varamarkian forces used to fighting in cold, so they're your sort of elite forces, and the Church of the High Hunt are like specifically more like monster hunters, and you know they're Shivra killers. They're going up against Shivra
But they'd also be very good at fighting against the.
They'd be very good at fighting the lizard
Yes,
riders.
that's what I'm saying. Maybe they hold in reserve and they wait to see if they're coming from what direction they're coming from. They're able to quickly redeploy and then defend against that.
So
hit against that.
they're straight behind the mid column here,
Maybe even hanging back a little bit, sort of like wait, like waiting.
so they can see.
I don't
Yeah.
trust the dwarves.
So they
to be
won't
put in a
charge.
flank.
So these
No.
guys are going
No,
to
they should
charge.
just be in the column.
Are
They
gonna
should be in the
charge
column,
up.
and they've got like they're
These
heavily
guys
armored.
aren't going to charge.
I feel like the dwarves, if it went badly, they just wouldn't charge.
Yeah,
But shield wall as well. They're slow, so like a good shield wall.
heavily
So
armoured
where are they going?
stalwarts.
In the middle charge.
Yeah.
Not in the charge,
No,
but
not in the
behind,
charge.
creating a shield wall like along the column. Like so,
So-
they're
'cause-
forming the column.
Oh, so they make the wall. These guys charge, and then these guys are going to fall back through that column.
Yeah, and then the column here is like holding. So like
Yeah,
these guys
'cause-
can fall back, and then the dwarves can sort of like hold strong as they fall back.
Yeah, because you want your heavy armored
Yeah.
people ready to hold off the
The
because
dwarf-
they're going to get hit like a brick hammer.
The dwarves agree. Interestingly, the dwarves are probably like the dwarves and so Admiri and Bryn Shander are probably one of the bigger forces combined.
Yeah.
The dwarves are actually one of the biggest singular forces
Yeah.
on their own. They have lots of men.
So they're perfect. So they can come up more slowly behind, and then when Ungmiri and the orcs fall back, they can fall back into the shields to sort of be protected.
Yeah, because we need
And
we
then
need
when
the
the
column
third-
to
when
become
the
a
cavalry
line.
Yeah,
comes.
and that way, I know I'm kind of like joining in, but it's fun for me too.
Yeah.
Well, your fleet in this
Yeah.
moment.
Well, and then that
please,
way,
I mean,
the dwarves
anyone else
won't
first?
charge.
I'm good.
They don't have to charge, so you're not reliant on them charging.
Yeah.
They just sitting there holding the line, doing
Yeah.
what they do.
Because I imagine there'd be like maybe sort of like a V shape, sort of like.
Excellent.
Oh, yeah, top me up, buttercup.
And the hope is that if they're like sort of a V shape behind, then these forces hit them from the side, and then we outflank them with the slightest skirmish.
So the Ymir and the Ym and the Stein are like sort of middle forces. Probably both of them put together are like the same as. Oh, you know who I haven't put on here? The Glinting.
Oh, that wasn't that them?
No, that's Fleet and Thingy. Let me grab a model.
Is Fleet representing
Do we?
Ungmiri?
Yeah.
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 That can be the Glinting. The Glinting.
So
Kingdom.
Ungmiri is made up
Sort
of.
of.
So
And they have horses. They have 50 horses.
Do we not
maybe
want-
they should do a flanking.
They could,
Yeah.
yeah.
So when they
Yeah.
harry and then
They
bang, a cavalry
They could
charge.
break out from
Yeah.
around the side
You
and
want
then.
them go to not be
They
obvious.
are not good in the ice, but because they're just not used to it.
But probably.
What's the topography like of the land?
Very flat. It's
there
basically
isn't, like,
frozen. It's
deep-
like a frozen sea.
So
It's
there's
like,
no deep snowdrifts to worry about with the horses and stuff like that. It's just snow and ice.
It's just like compact. Like you're not walking on like thin ice or
Yeah.
like ice itself. It's not slippy.
Yeah.
It's like
It's
compacted
just fucking cold.
sheet ice snow. Yeah.
Does anyone
That's-
in the camp know how deep the ice is?
The Varamarkin. So the foal would tell you the ice is like it's never thawed.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's like a massive sheet glacier because this is where on the big map it just drops.
Yeah.
That's where that huge like wall is. You guys went over through the mountains behind the church rather than going like along, but it's like a huge ice wall, and that's where the plateau. This whole plateau.
They've only got 50 horses, haven't they?
Yeah. So you could
How
split-
hard would it be to like shod those horses with like horseshoes that have like grip on them, like little spikes?
It wouldn't be able to be done here at the camp for
not in the time.
not in the time.
And they're just not going to be good on the ice. Is that the idea?
No, they'll be they're not going to be as basically like that force aren't snow warriors. They're like Glinting province.
Yeah.
So they're not used to it.
Should they not go in with because the cavalry's limited? So surely that should be the cavalry charge. Because I imagine Fleet, Ungmiri people who are mounted, they basically do like a fucking like crazy charge at the beginning, and then that's to bait them out. And they're like shit, like they're coming hell for leather, but we'll be able to catch them out.
So they're actually going in.
So
with
then
the
those
initial-
horses can come back. They can get off their horses and then join the
Fly on foot.
Yeah.
main.
So they charge, and I don't think they necessarily engage. They
No, they
actually
don't engage.
they
They're
just
the ones
charge, and then
baiting
they
them
turn
in.
around, and then you've got the column of dwarves. They ride into the column. They just get off their horses and go like that. And then we need two flanking forces to come in who are going to pass relatively unnoticed.
But
Whoever's the
slow
best at
those
that.
forces down enough so that they can get
So
back.
I
behind.
feel
it's
like-
it's like the Varamarkian forces are the ones that are gonna do the
Flanking.
Yeah,
I
because they're
feel
lighter and
yeah.
better in the snow.
Oh, that
and I
was
feel like the
just
orcs as well. Like they're from they're from the
that's Dawn's
mountains.
Blade.
So
What are Dawn's Blade doing right at the back then?
I don't think.
No, they're
They
meant to
should
right
be.
at the back.
No, they should be next to the dwarves, I think.
Yeah, because they're
They're
tanky.
holding the line.
They are tanky and hard hitting.
yeah, they can sort of bolster that as well.
RP wise, Siegfried says
Which one's
She-
Siegfried?
Richter's
Richter's
sister.
what?
sister.
Yeah.
She says that she's not fucking sitting in some shield ball. She wants to be hacking things down.
I think she goes on the flank. 100% goes on the flank. And I think because they know that they fight in this landscape. It's not like they don't need to. They're not. No one's going to pass unnoticed. But they just need to be able to navigate it quickly.
Yeah,
Right.
Also, that would leave, if we put them there, that would leave these skirmishers who are going to pop out from behind this to harass them.
The foal, interestingly, are like pretty much all ranged. You know, they're all like archers.
These guys, 6, so then they can fall back when they've baited them back behind a fucking steel wall. They'll be laying in wait, and
but then
be
that
a fucking bear trap.
But it's not necessarily it's going against the sort of flanking maneuver, isn't it? If you bait them forward there, then you're going to sort of be flanked.
Unless we've got the foal like at the back doing range.
Yeah,
just like
that's true. Because if you come back and then they're coming to the dwarves,
they're not like an archer block that's going to sit and like fire over everyone.
They're skirmishers and
they're skirmishers.
The way I see it, if we get them to charge here, this unit gets baited in here. The foal are lying hidden, so they don't even know they're there until they try to hit the sides. The foal then pop up and have all of their backs turned and just release a bunch of arrows into them, and they just keep firing. This unit then has no option but to carry on fighting here, or to turn around and move away from the main block and head for the archers, who can then scooch off.
And Dawn's Blade could be with them. Like they could. So if they decide to come back this way, then Dawn's Blade come back.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
There as a fucking
Siegfried is like, we will like happily take the flank and countercharge. Like she's confident in that sort of thing.
Yeah. So they can just be like ready for that eventuality.
So she said we
like a bear trap.
I've got some ideas for what's his face.
Then I think the orcs should do the same on the flank then, because they could like with their arrows. So they sort of, because they'll be good at staying hidden as well. So they're on this flank and they do the same as the what they're called.
Yeah, the orcs aren't like bloodthirsty. They're just going to run in as well. They're like, they're like hunters.
Yeah,
they're they know what they're doing.
They know how to
intelligent.
bring down bigger game, I'm guessing.
They're honestly
crazy.
Not stupid. They're not going to be
So then
baited
you've got the church who are ready to do the same thing.
You could have the church on that side, but unless we want to keep them as sort of like an elite force to deal with the school.
Aureus is like, we'll stay back so that we can engage the
school if they appear.
Because if the school riders like lizard riders appear,
like they're going to be doing a charge into
they're going
to
charge somewhere. And then you're gonna like basically Aureus is like, we'll probably be charged by them. We will counter that charge and take out those lizard riders as soon as they appear. And if the lizard riders attack our flanks, the Dawn Church are there to be able to split off and help
and hunt them
either way.
Yeah.
And so I think the
church is like quite a small force compared to most of the others.
Because they're quite.
But it's like their speciality hunting.
They're quite armored units, aren't they?
The two Varamokins are just like very generic, like Nordic
spearmen.
But they're quite
like spear and shield.
Yeah.
Spear and shield.
So that's a good block there to block anything we've got.
So the orcs pop up, harry them, much in the same way that the foal do.
Yeah.
And then they're kind of baited to either go after that or have to join the others. They can pull back.
Yeah. And the orcs can, like, even if they don't get brought in here and they try and come here, the orcs can still shoot them while the foot troops move up to close them in. And then they're boxed in with arrows on either side from light skirmishers and loads of heavy armor.
One thing to consider, is it worth swapping and having the Ingmiri force, because the dwarves and the Ingmiri are the most numerous? Do we want them as the wall and literally just have the cavalry charge in, do a little bit of summon, and then quickly come back out?
I think they appear as if they're going for a full charge, and then they just turn round and head between the shield wall, which opens up. They come in, they jump off.
If it's just a tiny amount that goes forwards, like why is 30,000 army going to follow 50
it's only
horses?
50 horses. Fleet shakes his head.
Yeah.
He's like, no, he's leading this middle
so
charge.
He needs Ingmiri forces to
needs to be like reasonably big for them to follow it.
And Fleet says that he can't run forwards and then stop and go back. He's gonna go in and actually hit this force,
and
then pull back. As the dwarves approach, they can sort of pull back behind the line of dwarves.
Yeah,
almost like the dwarves will like
catch up,
slowly
catch up.
Yeah, that's right. It's a moving column. It's not static like on the.
Yeah.
This is Harold Saxon Battle of Hastings. Literally, the French attacked the Saxons, then they like in small skirmishes, and then they run away, and the Saxons would like small forces would break off and then they just crunch them. And the next day they do the same thing. They just hit small forces, ran away. Saxons get excited, chase them.
Oh, I'm excited.
They love it.
Oh yes, win. Oh no, win.
everyone is the factions are in agreement, and nod. People have been placed in places where they feel happy with, even if they're, even the dwarves, and they all feel very much like they're doing the thing they want to be doing. So well done. Mm-hmm. As you stand in the council, chill wind sort of blowing in this tent, an air of sort of mutual acknowledgement takes everyone as people begin sort of nodding around. Zook, you would notice it first, and you see multiple people in the room notice, both Aureus, Draug, Thiazi, and some of the more perceptive members of the group, Elgrin, Silas. You all kind of look over towards one side of the tent, where you can see a small flame, a small spark rotating in the air, growing larger and larger and larger.
Shit, it's the twins.
What are you doing?
I'm gonna get back. I'll just shout, "Get back!"
People begin like drawing their blades.
Shall I punch it?
You begin sort of charging over towards it. It's a ways off yet. As everyone's like sort of drawing your blade, you're pushing through people to get over there. People are sort of shouting and screaming. A small fiery portal opens up, and dropping out as it closes behind, a small red-skinned, leather-winged creature with small horns and sharp teeth flaps out from it, looking around. You can see in its little feet, it's clutching what looks to be some kind of scroll of paper that's bound with a dark wax sigil. It kind of flaps there. You're probably the first there. People are like drawing their blades.
Yeah. What's the closest thing to me as I'm running towards the demon? Devil, whatever the fuck it is.
There's maybe like a candle on a nearby table.
There's no chairs.
No, there's no chairs in here at all.
Then
It's like you're in the middle.
I've got nothing to throw at it. I'll run at it. I'll punch it in the fucking head.
Okay.
Fucking demon.
You rush up towards it. You hear Fleet shout, "No, Dutch!" as you do this, but you can continue.
Skid to a stop.
He kind of floats and hovers around you, and floats over, sort of near where the collection of people are. People have their swords sort of raised and are watching it as it floats into the centre of the room, looking around.
Follow it.
Hey, my master sends his regards. Yeah.
He drops this roll, hits the ground.
What is this? What is this that you bring?
Orders from master.
Fleet reaches forwards, and Elgrin takes his hand. No, brother, hang on. You see him cast some light within his hands, and a familiar sort of aura of detect magic appears. Elgrin picks it up. It is non-magical, interestingly. Passes it to Fleet, who breaks the seal, sort of a black seal. Puffs out. He opens it up and begins reading. Rufus, I imagine you're probably standing next to him. You can look over his shoulder. You can see written in a sort of very cursive, ornate script in what looks to be dried blood. You see written a letter. You scan through it and see signed at the bottom. It says Malik, sort of written in his scribed font. The letter talks of the Gypsies of Fortune and says that he has an offer. I'll read it in sort of his own voice. Well, it would appear that the Gypsies of Fortune have returned. I have an offer to make of you. Hand over the stones. Leave them in their original forms on the plateau this evening. And our forces will retreat. There will be no bloodshed necessary. P.S. Dylan Gray's contract will also be revoked. And then it goes into some like sort of law script about how the current script overrules the script, the kind of contract that you have, and it goes into like that kind of like horrible worded detail. It has a place to sign, which looks to be for you to sign, and it also has another place which looks to be for someone else to sign.
What do you make of this?
These are wasted words.
I agree, Uncle.
There is absolutely no way we would ever hand over the stones. We all know what will happen if he gains control of them anyway.
Is the devil still here?
The imp is just kind of flapping, and you can see him looking at some of the maps and sort of looking about.
Yeah, can I grab him by the throat?
Hang on, is it a fiend?
It is.
It's
you cast
petrified
thingy.
of Dylan.
Yeah. It's like recoiling away at the side of the table.
So it's not even looking at the table.
No, Dutch, you sort of grab it by the throat, like one of those chickens.
But please, I'm just doing my job.
I'm just doing mine.
No.
Can I squeeze it a bit harder?
Don't kill me, please. I'll get sent back to the horrible layers of hell. Just let me return myself, okay?
We don't know what he's seen.
No, I ain't seen nothing. I ain't seen nothing.
Is he lying?
Sure. Roll me an insight.
It's 18.
I don't know, what would he doesn't look like what could he have seen other than people just sitting in the room?
Our battle plan? The tokens on the table?
He seems to be telling the truth.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's frightened of you. He didn't. He immediately went away. As far as you know.
I'm going to approach the imp. And I'm just going to hold a moonbeam in my hand and just say, listen, you need to tell us where your master is right now, or you will be sent back to those hells faster than you can beat one wing. Dutch, let go.
I let go of his neck and grab him by the tail and the horn and stretch him out a bit.
Master just gave me this to take. I don't know where he is or where he goes. You think he'd send someone who knew information?
That's a pretty valid point.
That is a good point.
But I don't know. But maybe I do know a few things. What have you got to offer?
You can maintain on this realm.
I don't want to be on this realm. It's cold.
Well, in which case we'll keep you on this realm.
No!
And in pain. What happens if I start pulling his horns apart? Does that hurt his skull?
How would you like to be
strength check?
as he's saying this, how would you like to be chained out in a snowstorm?
That's a natural 17.
A natural 17, which becomes...
I mean,
If it's just my strength, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, so just only plus a 5, so 22.
You snap one of his horns off.
I mean, it would be pertinent to not let him return.
This is unseemly, says Braythorn, who looks towards you with his... He is just a messenger. Be that a fiend. I say give him a quick death.
Okay. Punch to the cranium.
Elgrin, Fleet sort of puts a hand up.
You want to watch him suffer? Nasty.
Give him here.
There you go.
He sort of releases
Such
them.
chicken energy.
You are free to leave. Go.
I put a fucking arrow in him.
As it flies, as it flies off, you knock an arrow, and as you do, you hear the swift sound of steel, and Fleet slices it in two while its back is turned away from him, cleanly out onto the ground, away from the table. Wipes his thing, and you can see not only you had an arrow out, but a few other people were like, "We're not letting this fucking imp out of here." Yeah. Well, he turns, wiping the blood from his sword. Prepare the free peoples. Tonight we march. Good luck to all. Good luck to Gypsies. Good luck to Fate's children. Good luck, brother. He looks towards Elgrin. And I think that's where we'll end today's session.
Fuck.
On the precipice of the battle. And that works out quite well because I made all of this anyway on Roll20.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it looks dope. Because I did it with all the new, I just put in loads of stuff because I had loads of stuff.
Oh shit, yeah, because you got the premium, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be good. It'll be good to do. It'll be good to do it on the Roll20, I think, for the actual.
Yeah, it's
much larger.
It's nice
again.
being around the table for RP.
Yeah.
I think it's actually combat is probably easier on Roll20.
Yeah.
Theo, would you want to? We could still, if people wanted to, just Roll20 it in person. If some people wanted to still meet up for it.
I mean, I have that TV that's under there, and I can put it on its side, and actually run Roll20 instead of a battle map.
Gaming tables
but
with
this
TVs
one's is massive, so it probably wouldn't fit on the TV.
It's fine.
Insane.
Yeah.
Probably.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Everyone. It's been mucho enjoyable.
Mucho enjoyable.
Always difficult technical issues when we do it in person, but it's good to do. Join us next time for the next exciting installment of The Gentleman Was... Next time.